6 p.m. here in Western Washington. I'd like to call to order for our regular council meeting at 6 p.m. December 10, 2024. I'm Mayor Mohammed Igal. Christina, would you do the roll call, please?
Mayor Mohammed Igal.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Iris Guzman.
Present.
Council members Sanait Nuguse.
Here.
Peter Kwan.
Here.
James Lovell.
Here.
And Joe Vinson, Councilmember Joe Vinson, will be on about 6:30 p.m. And Councilmember Jake Simpson is excused absent.
Beautiful. Thank you, Christina. Let's salute the flag. I will make a brief statement which says that this meeting will be conducted in hybrid format with in-person and remote option for participation. The meeting will be broadcast on CTV Government Access Comcast Channel 21 and is live streaming on the city website. The next item in the agenda is public comments. And we do have few public comments. I will start the first public comment. I don't have you, Mr. Errol, in my, okay, it's coming here in person?
Yeah, you got him up there.
So, okay,
And I got,
all right.
And a group,
I
10
got
minutes.
it, I got it. Beautiful. Next, you are speaking group. Next, 10
Yep,
minutes
10
is all
minutes.
yours. Thank you, sir.
We'll start off the evening right. Earl Gibson, SeaTac. I'm going to talk to you about Agenda Bill 6450, the comp plan, envision, whatever you want to call it. Most of these massive comp plan changes were dictated by the new state laws and new county planning policies, which intentionally damage our city, its residents, and an already failing school district. This is accomplished by creating increased density, usurping property rights, and creating urban villages, or using the 60s term, projects within our city limits and light rail stations. We talk about displacement in these comp plans. Displacement is a politically correct word for kicked out. Whether you were forced out, taxed out, or physically removed, you are now displaced, to make it sound nicer than it is. Chapters of the comp plan are dedicated to kicking SeaTac residents out of the city and homes justifiably. The Housing Action Plan has a whole chapter on just displacement justification. Insult to injury. Not only are you going to be kicked out by the comp plan policies, the multifamily tax exemptions are going to make you pay the taxes of those doing it and hiding those developers who get the exemption in these new changes. The tax exemption on the consent agenda tonight is the last one the public will see if these changes are ratified. It will be all hidden and done administratively. We already know who's going to be displaced. It will be longtime residents, seniors, longtime homeowners, and those who are just in the way. We already know how some of the council members feel about seniors and retired people. Too bad Mr. Simpson isn't here, because I have kept his nasty little email he sent me regarding seniors and retired people. These comp plan changes dramatically increase the population density of our city. This is not so great an idea. With a large earthquake possibly pending, a volcano next door, and how COVID pandemics go through dense populations, we learned nothing. The pandemic of amnesia was soon forgotten. They'll be taking your cars and mobility soon, probably too. We, of course, know public transportation shuts down in emergencies. I can't wait for you to outpedal an earthquake. These changes by the legislature and county planning policies targeted SeaTac and parts of South King County for highly dense and poorly educated underclasses. This has been done before with results known by those behind these changes, and is no different than institutional racism of the past, just with a lot more PowerPoints and sales meetings. Same contents, different wrapper. The social justice and equity advocates seem to be either blind or stupid. Could be both. give them a free Orca card, and they walk away smiling. Our council is now obligated to ratify this garbage because other cities voted to say we had to. I'm sure the legislator and county will take action against us if we don't, such as withhold tax revenue. That's just one of their options. Interpretation of the Revised Code of Washington Growth Management Act allows for actions to be taken against us if we don't ratify this garbage. Ghettos and slums don't just happen. They are intentionally designed and planned. Just like cows, we don't seem to know we are being herded either. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person will be Vicky Lockwood.
Good evening, council members. First of all, I would like to thank Ms. Bartolo for her lifetime of service to our city. I've seen her navigate through a lot of hills and valleys and a whole bunch of rough water. And it's been to our advantage to have her. So thank you, Mary. Secondly, thank you, Earl, for your comments. Now, there was a couple of things tonight that bothered me about the new city manager. I read through the contract, and it has a start date of January 16th. And I said to myself, what the hell is January 16th? It should be the first working day of January 2025. Plain and simple. It's a brand new fiscal year. You don't saddle somebody else with decisions made before they got here that they have to carry out. It's a brand new fiscal year. It's a clean cut. You don't change apartments in the middle of the month. You move on the first of the month. It's just a natural segue to bring in a new city manager on January 2nd. The other thing that bothered me was on the agenda, under action items, it says AB 6566, a motion authorizing the city, comma, through the mayor, Mohammed Iqbal, to execute an employment agreement. I'm sorry, but we don't have an elected mayor. We have an appointed mayor. Our mayor is equal to all the other elected council members. He doesn't have any superpowers. The only superpower the mayor has is to lead the meeting. And you could have artificial intelligence read the agenda to lead the meeting. So it's not proper to say through the mayor, Mohammed Iqbal. The motion authorizing the city is via the majority of the council members. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person will be Mr. Jay Beckering.
Hello, I'm Jay Pickering. I'm the project manager for the renovations at Bow Lake Estates for the property owners. I wanted to say that we submitted under this Commonwealth letterhead our comments earlier today. Hopefully you've read that. And I guess I would like to say that we appreciate the opportunity to provide comment on the draft SeaTac 2044 comp plan update. On behalf of our client, CPI Bow Lake Estates Owner LLC, our client remains strongly opposed to the proposed downzone and land use redesignation. Our client respectfully urges the council to maintain the status quo until the city can adequately study the impacts of changing the allowed development densities on the property. This study can occur during the city's planned development of a city center sub-area plan in 2025. At the council's direction, city planning staff met with the property owner representatives on December 5th. The participants agreed to a summary of two options that could be presented to the council. The property owner asked that the City Council adopt option 2 when the Council takes action on the plan tonight. Option 1 is the staff's preferred option, but option 2 is the preferred option of the property owner. Option 2 would change the land use designation and zoning to be equivalent to the current zoning. Under this option, the zoning and designation would be urban residential high. In 2025, the city and Bow Lake community owner will continue to engage in conversation, further study, and analysis regarding the appropriate comprehensive plan, land use, and zoning designations. The council's selection of option 2 would address the property owner's current concern. We believe it is in the parties' mutual best interest to maintain current zone densities as the status quo so that the issue can be studied in the city's sub-area plan next year. The current comprehensive plan and zoning designation would allow development of approximately 2,200 residential units, with 550 of those units being affordable. The Bow Lake proposal would essentially freeze the maximum number of units on the property to the current 450. Not only would the Bow Lake proposal by staff threaten to shrink the number of units in the Bow Lake community over time, it would likely cause a net loss of 1,750 potential housing units on the property, foreclosing possibilities for adding affordable housing to the future of the city. Unfortunately, the potential loss of 1,750 housing units was not considered at any point in the city's review process for the SeaTac 2040 plan until now. The city did not account for this loss of housing in its environmental review of the SeaTac 2044 plan as required by the State Environmental Policy Act or in the city's land capacity analysis required by the GMA. Additionally, we found no updates to the city's land capacity analysis since this major downzone was proposed in September, nor any explanation as to why the city would proceed with a proposal that violates several policies of the SeaTac 2044 plan and the GMA. If the council selects to adopt option 1 now, these and other issues remain unaddressed. While we understand the city staff preferred option 1, we have difficulty understanding any benefits of rushing through a down zone of the property when a much more appropriate venue for the consideration exists next year. Accordingly, we request the City Council elect option 2 to preserve the status quo for the property and to allow the further analysis and potential impacts of rezoning during next year's process. We appreciate the council's consideration of these comments and would be happy to address these matters further with you and the staff. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person will be Mr. Graham.
Hello, and thanks for consideration of our comments tonight. I won't belabor anything that Mr. Pickering just said. I think he covered most of our policy concerns related to the Bow Lake Downzone. Just as a reminder, my name is Clayton Graham. I'm Land Use Counsel to the ownership. I just wanted to highlight for the council, we submitted a couple letters today. We submitted one letter to the city attorney outlining some of the legal concerns we had about the option 1 of the 2 options. We submitted a second letter that Mr. Pickering just summarized for the council. I just wanted to I guess, urge the council to closely consider the contents of those letters before you move forward. We do appreciate the efforts that the city attorney's office and city staff made to meet with us and discuss this with us directly and to boil this down to 2 options. But to be clear, we believe that option 2 is the best path forward. This would give the ownership and the city time to work together under the sub-area planning process to create a sensible approach for this area. And we really don't think that option 1 would be it at this point. So that is really all I have to add for the council tonight. We do appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The last person is Mr. Jonathan Young.
Mayor, City Council, City staff, and community really wanted to come up here tonight first and foremost to thank you. My selection to serve as your next city manager is the honor of my career. And this place, SeaTac, is one of the most special cities I've ever encountered. It's been fun over the last few weeks to describe where I'm coming and see this look come over people's eyes as they see the potential that SeaTac has and all the great things you have coming up. You're sitting at a moment of tremendous greatness for the city, and I'm so excited to be part of it. As we go forward tonight, on your agenda tonight, of course, is a contract that will set in motion the transition process to bring me on as your city manager. I do want to address the idea of a start date and assure the community that upon your signature of the contract tonight, we'll be setting in motion a series of events that will allow me to start getting up to speed. And over the weeks ahead, I'll be meeting with many community members as well as city staff to start making the transition as smooth as possible. So with that, don't want to spend too much time, but I'm here to answer any questions that council or the community may have this evening. And again, just want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to you, Mayor, and the City Council, and the community and staff that have worked so hard to make this happen. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, the next item in the agenda will be presentation, the confirmation.
Here.
Yeah.
We did have one written public comment, and that was from Adam Cook, regarding the Bow Lake Estates.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Well, I want to also mention that Council Member Joe Vincent have joined us. So we do have actually 6 council members. Okay, so next item in the agenda is the confirmation of mayoral appointment of Pam Fanal and Ken and Simbi to Community Service Advisory Board. It seems to me none of them are here. I signed their certificate.
And Councilmember Fernald is remote.
Okay, good. All right. Okay, so if the council if the commission member for now want to say something next to 2-3 minutes, she can say, you know.
Let's actually go through the appointment first. Please.
Okay, yeah. So I made the appointment. I signed the appointment, and I will read those appointments actually in the record, which that.
A motion from the council, please.
Okay.
So moved.
Yeah.
Second.
All right. Okay. So, yeah. Anyone commented about the appointment of the Ken Constancy, Simbi, and Bamfanal? Guzman.
I just have concerns that we keep appointing folks that really don't have an ear to the ground for our human services. And so I just want to make sure that it isn't just about restricting, but rather understanding what the needs of our community are.
All right. Council Member Nguzi.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Fernald and Mr. Nasimbi, for your interest and service to the city. I know both individuals. I think you're both great. Ms. Fernald, since you're on the call, I've seen her just about at every event, whether it was the comp plan or the human services plan. And so I know, Pam, since your departure from the city, you've been very involved. And so welcome your continued engagement and partnership. So thank you for your continued service.
Thanks. Council Member Lavelle.
Yeah, I want to thank Ms. Fernald for your continued commitment to SeaTac, and to Mr. Nasimbi, with whom I've worked for more than 10 years when he was at King County Housing Authority and when he's now at the King County government working under the Best Starts for Kids, stopping the school-to-prison pipeline work. I'm really excited to have his level of expertise and experience. He's one of our Riverton Heights community members coming from North SeaTac, and brings a real wealth of knowledge around this work. So excited to have both of you serving the city. Thank you.
Councilmember Kwan.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm always happy to see community members step up and apply and to be involved with our committees. One of the ongoing challenges that we always have is we have committee vacancies with no application. So it's always a good thing for community members to step up. I do personally know Pam Fernald. She has been on the council before, and she has been very active, especially with senior citizens as well as longtime residents. So I believe that she still does represent a large section of our community members, especially those who depend on our human services, such as minor home repair and things like that. So very happy for people to volunteer their time. And welcome, thank you.
Councilmember Vincent.
Thank you, Mary Gall. And, I agree with most of what has, been previously said. I do want to thank our community members for stepping up to serve the community. Volunteering your time and energy to make a positive impact here in SeaTac is always welcome and well regarded. So thank you. Back to you, Mayor.
Okay, I agreed most of what you said. I don't want to say everything you said. I'm now both of them amazing people, actually willing to serve their community. That's good. So welcome both of you, and you will have big responsibilities. So none of them are here. I signed the certificate, and yes.
We do need to vote on the
Yes.
motion, please.
So, all right. So those who are in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay. All right. It seems to me that 6 out of 0. Okay.
Did you want to allow her if she wanted a moment to?
Yes. You want to say a few words? Okay.
There she goes.
Okay. Hi, Bam. You want to say a few words?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I can't tell if I'm. No, I really don't have anything to say that's unusual or whatever. Except I did see the face that Councilmember Guzman made when someone was saying something positive about me. But anyway, I'm glad to be able to be on this Community Services Committee on the other side of it because I know it intimately well from when I was on the council. So I'm happy to be a part of it from the residential view and do what I can to contribute. So that's it, and thank you very much, everyone.
All right. Thanks. So it is 6 to 0. I signed the certificate. We will be mailing to both of them, right? Yep. Okay, good. All right. So the next item in the agenda is the key to the city, to outgoing city attorney Mary Bartolo. This will be 5 minutes introduction by the interim city manager, Kyle Moore.
Right, it's a bittersweet moment. We have a lot of people in the crowd today for Mary. She has served the city from September 1993 through December 24, and this is her moment to be presented with the key by the mayor and council, and we will do council comments after the presentation.
Beautiful. Mary, it's next for 3-4 minutes. It's all yours if you want to make some comments.
Actually, no. You're going to do the presentation first and then council comments, and
Okay.
then she will give a few comments at the end.
Okay. All right. So who will want to make comments? With the pictures. Okay. All right. Okay. And on top of that, next 3 minutes.
Actually, if council would like to make comments first.
Okay, do you like to make comments? Okay, Councilmember Nguzi.
Okay, sure. I don't have anything prepared, Mary. You got my card. Just sent you love. I just want to thank you. I remember, I was elected back in 2020 and just coming on. I remember Carl walking me through the halls and just saying, "That's Mary. She's here all the time, day and night." And you're so dedicated to the city. And it's clear, 33 years of service. I remember working very closely and intimately with you on certain things like the camping ordinance. And I just so appreciated just you're willing to listen, to work with me, to teach and guide me through the process as a new council member. And you're all heart. And I love that about you, and I will miss that. You're leaving with a lot of historical knowledge, but I know that you've laid an incredible foundation for our city moving forward. I just wish you all the best. I hope that you and your husband, who is also retired from the city, can continue to go on great adventures with your family, eat good food, travel, do all the things that you definitely deserve to do. So I just thank you, and I wish you all the best, and hope we can stay in touch. Thank you.
Councilmember Vincent.
Thank you, Mary Gall. Mary, my apologies that I could not be there in person to celebrate you. 32 years of service to our community is an incredible achievement, lifetime achievement, some will say. I do want to recognize that your dedication will have such a lasting impact for the residents and the community here in SeaTac. I will share that, as a newly elected official, I've personally appreciated your guidance and support. The resolution for the flock camera system, I think your guidance there was just instrumental, and it's something that I will truly miss. So Mary, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Councilmember and Lavelle.
Good evening, Mary. So if you had been working kind of a standard 2080 every year for 33 years, you'd be over 68,000 hours of service to the city of SeaTac. And from what I've seen over the last 2,000 or so of those hours, you are working far more than 2080. You're working more than 40 hours a week. You're putting every ounce into your job. You're responding to questions. Typically, if I'm getting a call after 5 p.m., it's your number that I'm picking up from. And you never let go of, if I ask a question, you will make sure that you chase it down until you get an answer. And you say, I'll have these messages that I get on a Saturday morning because Mary called me at 9:30 the night before saying, I finally got the answer you were looking for on this. Here's how the Supreme Court's interpreting this, and here's what I think the impact will be to SeaTac. Now, I've called 17 other people, 3 of whom live out of the country, so there was a time zone I had to match. I mean, it's really this kind of, this focus and this dedication to getting an answer to questions is something that has enriched our city. And it's, as Councilman Vincent said, though it's only been the last 2,000 of those 68,000 plus hours that I've gotten to work with you, it's been really important for me as a city council person to have your guidance as we've onboarded to help understand what the city's currently doing, and more importantly, even just in the last weeks and months, as we've known that your time at the city was coming to a close, you've been focused on how can we get the city ready for whatever's coming next. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilmember Kwan.
Thank you. So when I was newly elected, in 2016, I had a lot of questions, mostly legal questions, related to,
everything,
city and policy and all kinds of stuff.
It was exhausting.
And so one of the things that I tried to do over the years is I would attend, training in order to try to learn on my own. And I have been to multiple, I would say 4 or 5 by now, different legal-related training specifically designed for elected officials, like Elected Officials 101 and stuff like that. And the instructors there, provide legal guidance and stuff like that. And they're all lawyers, and some of them are lawyers in other cities. Many of them are. And when they noticed that I'm in SeaTac, they said, "Oh, your city attorney, Mary, is an amazing resource. She is really great." And so that's when I first knew that, our city attorney had very high respect from her peers. And so I also would stop by, we have jobs, and I get off work, and I would come here after work, hit rush hour, and I get here 6, sometimes 7 p.m. To check my mailbox and stuff like that. And City Hall would be empty, but Mary would be here. And I was like, wow, she really does work late sometimes. And so it's very hardworking. She provided a lot of valuable legal advice and guidance over the years. I literally cannot, because some of these occurred in exec session, but some legal advice that was provided really avoided some major potential issues. And so, the general public will never realize, how much Mary has benefited, our city has benefited from Mary's guidance over the years. And on top of that, when council are considering crafting, policies and strategies and things like that, and a lot of it is legal, Mary has provided exceptional support and has been a great resource for that as well. So research skills are exceptional. Most of all, she has an unwavering moral compass, because, sometimes I'll come up with crazy ideas and she's like, okay, you can't do that. And so keeps us in line. So I'm very, very sad to see you leave. And I think that we're losing another exceptional resource for our city. But I know that wherever you go, you will excel. So sorry to see you go, and glad to see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Deputy Mayor.
Hey, I had a chance to talk to you the other day, so I'm glad that we had an opportunity to speak one-on-one in private, and I'm definitely going to miss you. You're, what everyone said, someone that has this just like deep knowledge and foundation of expertise. Also, I think you and I, over the last couple of years, have been able to really connect and share funny stories, and really just, see each other for the humans that we are, and then also just like the kind-heartedness that I felt that you've brought to the job. And so I'm definitely going to miss seeing you, but I really am excited that you're going to go off hopefully to bigger and better things, and you'll be able to enjoy time with your family, your spouse, etc. We all dream of retirement one day, so it's really cool to see it happen.
Thank you so much.
Everything.
Well, I actually echo and agree with everything you said, all the good things. I just want to thank Mary for her offer 33 years of service to the city of SeaTac. 33 years. That's not just a work. That's a love, that's a dedication, that is a character, basically. So I know that as you serve with us, the people who live in the city of SeaTac appreciate it and love you. And I know that you will enjoy life and, go and do good things in life. But SeaTac is in debt of you, really. 33 years. We are what? 33 years? We were in city for 33 years. Yeah, so Mary, we love you and we will miss you. Okay, if there's any comments to our next 5 minutes? I'm going to give you no comments. Okay, so 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you want it. Please, it's all yours.
Thank you. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, staff, residents, and community members, thank you for your comments. My ties to the city of SeaTac actually predate my employment with the city. I grew up in this area and attended schools in this district. Before working in the public sector, I worked in the private sector for quite a few years. When I had the opportunity to work for our city, I remember feeling excited and proud to be a public servant. And the first place I reported to was the Angle Lake Schoolhouse that has since burned down. And there was only a few of us at that time. And with the rats and all, we were just all happy. Working for the city and this community has never been just a job for me. It's been a passion, it's been a calling. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve this city. I could not have done it without the help of my staff, my colleagues, and the support of you and councils before you, and of course, the community. I would be remiss if I also did not mention that I must give credit to my husband, Jose Partolo, whose unwavering support enabled me to make it nearly 32 years. By the way, together, I think we have given almost 70 years jointly to the city. I was thinking about that earlier today. Thank you again for the opportunity to serve. I wish you, the city, and this community much continued success. Thank you so much.
Okay, the next item in the agenda is Port of Seattle Sustainable Airport Master Plan Environmental Review Briefing. That will be 30 minutes. A presentation from Director Maxim.
Well, thank you, Mayor Agall, council members. My name is Evan Maxim, your Community and Economic Development Director. I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me for one moment. Oh, there it is. Mayor, council members, can you confirm that you can see my screen, please?
We can see it.
Thank you. I see that. Thank you. So this evening, I'd really like to provide the City Council with a brief update around the SEA, the Airport's Sustainable Airport Master Plan, known as SAMP, and their environmental review process here. Really, what I'm trying to capture tonight is a portion of the environmental review process. Council will recall you received a briefing from, I believe, the Port of Seattle directly, Mr. Dave Kaplan, approximately 2 or 3 weeks ago. This is a period in the process where the FAA and the cities and the community at large are commenting on an environmental assessment related to the Sustainable Airport Master Plan. It is an informational briefing this evening. Unfortunately, we have a relatively short timeline to provide public comment. So we're really focusing on the technical review aspect of this. And then, of course, I'm happy to brief the council further once we've submitted our technical review comments. The Sustainable Airport Master Plan, I will cover essentially a brief summary of what that plan entails. It is intended to describe the airport's plans around how to accommodate a significant increase in airport passenger demand. I'll also provide a brief overview of the NEPA, so the National Environmental Policy Act, and the SEPA, Washington State Environmental Policy Act review process, which is what we're in the middle of at the moment. I'll touch on an update related to our technical comments from the City of SeaTac, and then the City of SeaTac is actually part of a 4-city collaborative, which includes the cities of Burien, Des Moines, Normandy Park, and SeaTac. And I'll note for the council's reference, this is an agenda item a little bit later this evening, and I'll be touching back on that aspect as part of that presentation. And lastly, I'll cover our anticipated next steps. So the Sustainable Airport Master Plan, I'll refer to this as SAMP, was initially drafted in 2018, and it really proposes improvements to the airport to meet the future forecast demand at the airport. There are approximately 31 near-term projects. It has changed a little bit during the SAMP environmental review process, but those 30-odd projects are intended to address, at a high level, 5 basic airport needs. Those are passenger terminal capacity, cargo facilities, the FAA required design elements, aircraft delays on the airfield, and then fuel storage for projected demand. The projects generally include things like taxiway extensions, offsite cargo holding, traffic circulation changes at the airport and in the surrounding area, employee parking, and of course, a new terminal and several new gates. I've included, you'll see in the parentheses here, references to A01 or L02 or things of that nature. Those are specific projects identified in the Sustainable Airport Master Plan. Some of the council and the community may be familiar with this graphic. The graphic itself, I won't try and go into detail here. It's really, the wording is probably too small for most people in the audience to read all of the legend. But you'll see on the page that there's a copy of an aerial photograph of the airport. And the areas that are highlighted in various colors represent different types of projects around the airport. Of course, there is more information related to this on the Port of Seattle's website related to the SAMP environmental review process. So the SAMP itself was drafted in 2008, and at that time it entered into both a NEPA review, so the National Environmental Policy Act review, and a Washington State Environmental Policy Act review. The two terms are generally referred to in the planning profession as NEPA review and SEPA review, so you'll probably hear me use those terms moving forward. First, I'll focus on NEPA and the purpose of NEPA. NEPA is really required anytime a project is subject to the approval by a federal agency. In this case, we're talking about the FAA, or the Federal Administration Agency, the Federal Aviation Administration, as the authorizing environment for the Port of Seattle and the airport improvements. That is the basis for the NEPA review. Recall there's also federal funding that goes into the airport renovations. The purpose of the NEPA review, it's very straightforward. It is to evaluate the project and determine whether it will potentially result in negative impacts to the environment. And when we say negative impacts, we're really looking at negative significant impacts that warrant mitigation through the approval process. And if there are potential negative environmental impacts, the NEPA review process is supposed to evaluate whether or not there are any alternative design elements to the project that could reduce the impact, or identify mitigation to reduce the impact on the community and to the environment itself. The scope of the NEPA review is established largely by the federal government, and it's informed by the Council of Environmental Quality. This is a federal agency that's responsible for assisting all federal agencies in the implementation of NEPA. CEQ is the acronym there, and I apologize again, Council. There are a lot of acronyms here. CEQ adopts both guidelines and regulations, and the regulations are relevant here in a moment, and I'll expand. But generally speaking, when we're talking about evaluating impacts, you'll see on the screen a fairly long list of environmental aspects where we could see an impact. And you'll note that there are several items that are highlighted or bolded: air quality, noise, surface transportation, and impacts to water resources. And that is the areas where both the city of SeaTac and the 4 city partners have been focusing the bulk of our review and comments. In the presentation by Mr. Kaplan a few weeks ago, I think there were some questions by the City Council related to the scope of the NEPA review versus the SEPA review. You'll see in a moment, I'll also identify all of the SEPA environmental impacts that could be evaluated. They are distinct and different from the NEPA review impacts, and that's the purpose of illustrating both on the slides here tonight. In terms of the NEPA review process, and I apologize for the somewhat complicated flow preparation here, you'll note in the upper left-hand corner, this is really when the NEPA process started, when the SAMP documents were prepared. That is the proposed action that prompted the NEPA review. There was an environmental assessment scoping document or set of documents that were prepared in 2019. The city of SeaTac and the 4 city partners, and then many of the community members commented on those scoping documents. The scoping documents result in an environmental assessment. At the time, we were anticipating it sooner. Of course, since 2019, we have seen a number of things in the world happen, and notably the coronavirus and some of its effects on passenger travel. But we now have a draft environmental assessment that was released on October 21st of this year. I would anticipate that we will see a final set of documents in early 2025, possibly sooner. Following that, the environmental assessment really allows the FAA to make a determination on whether or not there's a significant impact which warrants an environmental impact statement or essentially a mitigated finding of no significant impact. That's a document or a determination issued by the FAA. It's often referred to as a FONSI, FONSI. And there, what the FAA would be effectively saying is there is no significant impact as established under the CEQ regulations and the FAA's own internal threshold documents. If a environmental impact statement is required out of the NEPA review process, that would be the next step. At this time, we're not certain as to what the FAA is going to determine, whether or not there is a significant impact. So that middle square on your screen represents a possibility, not a guarantee. Once the NEPA review is complete, the environmental impact statement is complete, if one is generated, we would resume the SEPA review, the Washington State Environmental Policy Act review. In 2019, when the scoping for both environmental reviews was completed, and I'll get to this in the next slide, there was a commitment by the port that a determination of significance had been issued, and that is the action that typically results in an environmental impact statement for SEPA. Once the environmental reviews are complete and all mitigation has been identified, that's when you would expect the Port of Seattle to complete whatever budget approvals are necessary to fund the projects, begin design, and start permitting, and then, of course, construct. That is the overview of NEPA. I'll now move over to the overview of the Washington State Environmental Policy Act. Again, similar but not the same as the NEPA review process. Washington State Environmental Policy Act, first notable difference is that it is SEPA is often required on a variety of different actions, not just when a federal agency is either funding or responsible for approval of a project. But SEPA review is often triggered by a variety of private projects, new public facilities, adoption of regulations. On your council agenda tonight, you have a comprehensive plan and a set of zoning regulations. Those all went through a SEPA review. You've heard some public comment about that as well tonight. Private projects, I think many in our community and on the council are familiar with the Polaris project, the inland project up by the 154 station. That, of course, went through a SEPA review. Things like that also prompt a SEPA review. Of course, the SAMP does as well. The purpose of the SEPA review of the SAMP is very similar to the NEPA review at a high level. Again, determining whether or not there are significant negative impacts to the environment. And then if there are impacts, identifying either alternative project designs that would reduce the impact or identifying mitigation to reduce the negative environmental impact. One thing that's notable between NEPA and SEPA, in the context of a NEPA review, the FAA is the agency that is issuing either a finding of no significant impact or requiring a EIS. For the SEPA review, the Port of Seattle is given the authority by Washington State to complete its own SEPA review of the projects, somewhat similar to the city of SeaTac and its SEPA review process associated with a comprehensive plan update and those zoning regulations. Generally, public jurisdictions are given that authority by Washington State to conduct their own SEPA review. In terms of the regulatory guidelines, the bulk of the regulations around a SEPA review process are established by Washington State's Department of Ecology in the Washington Administrative Code, or WAC 197-11. That establishes both the scope of the review, the procedure for the review. It provides guidance around how a jurisdiction would identify a potential significant impact. SEPA review, you'll see on the screen here a somewhat shorter list of environmental areas where SEPA review focuses. The degree of focus and how those impacts are identified is also a little bit different. And I'm avoiding the weeds, if you will, in the moment. But you'll note on the screen that in that list, again, air, water, noise, and transportation are really the areas where we focus the bulk of our technical review for this SAMP process. As I mentioned a moment ago, in 2018, Port of Seattle did issue a SEPA determination of significance, which generally requires a SEPA environmental impact statement. If the Port of Seattle prepares a NEPA environmental impact statement, that impact statement could also be used for the SEPA environmental impact statement purposes. It's unclear at the moment whether or not the FAA will require the preparation of a NEPA EIS. So we don't know whether or not there would be a separate SEPA EIS or if that possible NEPA EIS would be used for the review. The SEPA process is a little bit simpler in general description here. Again, starts with the preparation of the SAMP documents back in 2018. There was a threshold determination by the Port of Seattle in 2018. Again, that's where the determination of significance was issued. Determination of significance results in the EIS. The scoping of the EIS was also done in 2018. Originally, I believe the Port of Seattle intended to combine and run both the NEPA review and the SEPA review concurrently. That was the information that was conveyed in 2018, 2019. At some point during the NEPA review process, and it is not currently clear to City of SeaTac staff when, the SEPA review and the NEPA review were separated, and the NEPA review will be completed first, and then the SEPA review would move after that. And of course, after those, as I mentioned a moment ago, the environmental review, once that is done, we would begin to see the Port take action to actually execute the SAMP projects, including construction. So in summary, in terms of the environmental review process, City of SeaTac is focused right now on commenting on the NEPA review, and is specifically the environmental assessment associated with that NEPA review. Deadline for the comments is this coming Friday, December 13th. It was originally December 5th, which would have been last Thursday. At the request of a number of different groups, including the City of SeaTac and our partner cities, the FAA did extend the deadline by 8 additional days to December 13th. The SEPA review, as I mentioned a moment ago, that was placed on hold during the NEPA review process by the FAA. Port of Seattle, I think, has even in their last presentation to you indicated that they will resume the SEPA review once the NEPA review is complete. As I mentioned a moment ago, there is a commitment for the SEPA EIS. The timeline for the SEPA review and environmental impact statement is unclear at this point. We are not commenting on that at the moment because we are waiting on the issuance of the NEPA review. So shifting now to what the jurisdictions have said relative to SEPA and NEPA to the FAA and the Port of Seattle. In 2018, the cities of SeaTac, Des Moines, Burien, and Normandy Park worked together through an intra-local agreement to hire a consultant agency to jointly comment on the scope of the NEPA and the SEPA reviews. SeaTac, along with the other jurisdictions, also provided SeaTac specific comments in the case of the city of SeaTac, Des Moines specific comments in the case of the city of Des Moines, for example. Those letters at that time are included in your packet as attachments to this agenda bill. In general terms, and I'm heavily summarizing just for time this evening, those letters focused on maybe 8 distinct comment or subject areas. The first is really when we're evaluating impacts, identifying what the baseline level of growth at the airport was in terms of then forecasting future growth. So we're accounting for a delta in terms of the population traveling through the airline and how that would affect various impacts to the environment. That was the first focus, both in SeaTac's letter and in the 4-city letter. The city of SeaTac and the 4 cities really recommended that we start with 2012 as the baseline year rather than 2018. And the thinking there would really be that we want to capture the delta in growth or population movement through the airport that occurred between 2012 and 2018. Second focus of those comment letters was really around the identification in the Sustainable Airport Master Plan. That document primarily focuses on near-term projects, and those projects typically take us through, I believe, 2037. The port has alluded to, and in the Sustainable Airport Master Plan, I think mentions long-term projects. The environmental review really only focuses on the near-term projects. And when we're identifying impacts and trying to forecast moving forward, we try and identify all of the impacts at the start of the decision-making process to make the best well-informed decisions around mitigation or project design. Other topics included, of course, passenger growth that would result from the international arrivals facility. You may have seen the picture at the start of the PowerPoint deck. That was a picture from the international arrivals facility when it first opened. It is now complete. It was started in 2015 and is not part of the SAMP documents. Specific comments also focused on transportation related to transit routing, cargo traffic to and from the airport, the completion of SR or State Route 509 and connections from the airport to 509, and then of course transportation impacts to, in particular, SeaTac's city streets. Employee surface parking lots, I'll note for the council, at one time, there was proposed parking in some of the North SeaTac Park, the L-shaped property, if you recall that site. At one time included surface parking lot improvements. Those parking lot improvements have since been removed from the SAMP near-term projects, and a different parking area has been expanded as part of that removal from North SeaTac Park. Noise impacts. I think most of the council is very familiar with some of the noise impact studies that have been ongoing at the airport and their management of noise, and then of course air emissions. Looking forward, we are still in the process of putting together the technical review comments. So I cannot give you a specific comment letter this evening. I'm sorry to say that to you. I'd much rather show you a completed draft document that the council could weigh in on. But really the timeline provided by the Port of Seattle and the FAA, primarily the FAA, to provide comments on the environmental assessment has not allowed us to both complete our technical review and put together the review letter and provide it to council for this evening. We are continuing to work with that consultant on the comment letter. Again, I'll expand a little bit further on the need for the interlocal agreement update a little bit later this evening. But we are still coordinating with that consultant for the NEPA review, and we plan on using that consultant as we engage in the SEPA review process a little bit later into 2025. A new item has come onto our radar. Really, as you can see on the screen, it showed up on November 12th of 2024. So after the comment period opened up on the environmental assessment, there was a court case known as the Marin Audubon Society versus the Federal Aviation Administration case. In that case, there were some comments on the Council on Environmental Quality's regulations, really calling those regulations into question. Again, I'll remind the council, in the NEPA review process, those CEQ regulations guide both the procedural aspects and how we determine what a significant impact is for the purposes of issuing either a EIS or a finding of no significant impact. And then as part of our review right now, we are continuing to comment on several of the items that we started our comments on back in 2018. The 2012 versus the 2018 baseline for evaluating impacts moving forward, transportation-related impacts, noise, air emissions, surface water control, and really here think about drainage facilities, ditches, discharge from the airport, and how increased traffic on our local streets may affect some of our water quality needs moving forward relative to drainage. And then last, the sequencing here of the NEPA review relative to the SEPA review. Ideally, when we are agreeing to mitigation, we have fully considered all of the relevant impacts for the NEPA review and the SEPA review process before we establish what mitigation might be necessary. Here, that's a little bit harder because, of course, the port has taken a sequential approach to the NEPA review process and then the SEPA review process. Looking forward in terms of next steps, we are on track to generate comment letters to the Port of Seattle and the FAA by this coming Friday. It is a heavy lift by several of the staff for your city, including, I'll note, Zach Shields, I believe, is on the call for another item this evening. Jen Kester has been instrumental in that work, and others here at the city. We anticipate at the moment that sometime between December 14th and early Q1 of 2025, and I suspect it will be early Q1 of 2025, the FAA will make their determination relative to the NEPA review, whether or not either a FONSI will be issued or requiring an environmental impact statement. And then in the period, presumably Q1, Q2 of 2025, we are looking at either the preparation of the NEPA environmental impact statement or an end to the NEPA review process, and we will be starting up the SEPA review process. So with that, I will stop speaking, and Mayor, City Council, I'm happy to answer any questions that I can address this evening, and I'm happy to return to the City Council as we continue this exercise.
Thank you very much, Director Maxim. Good presentation and information. This was just informational only. So any question, comments? I will call Council Member Neguzi.
I just want to thank you and your staff for the heavy lift. I don't have any comments. I know this is the last agenda item for the request for the consultant for the interlocal agreement. So I don't have any comments at this time. Just thank you for getting all your comments in, and hopefully you can enjoy the holiday after that. Thanks.
Mr. Kwan.
Thank you. Oh boy. So we're running out of time, obviously. The deadline for public comment on this is this Friday the 13th. And so we've got literally like two and a half days left here. So I just wanted to confirm, and Evan, correct me if I'm wrong, during this public comment process, the port and or the FAA, at the end of the day, after comment period closes, they must respond to or address every concern or issue that has been raised, right? In some format or another.
So the FAA is obligated to review the public comment, including the comment from the cities, and determine whether or not it affects their determination of either requiring an EIS or the FONSI. Whether or not they will provide a direct response to every public comment submitted, frankly, Councilmember, I think it's unlikely, but they could.
Okay. Now, I read most of this. I mean, it's just too much. The main short, I mean, the document is over 275 something pages, and then it has appendices that it refers to, over 4,000 of those, right? Just way too much. And we had a little under 2 months or so to review this, maybe. It's just not enough time to go through any of this. And so just wanted to point out that we need help, not just us, but I think the community, South King County, or the greater airport community needs help. If we can get as many eyes as possible on this, I know time is running out, but there's no concern is too small during this period. You've got any concern, now is the time to bring it up. Once comment period closes, that's it. So also wanted to clarify, there are two separate processes, NEPA and SEPA, which you called out. NEPA is the process that's happening now that is administered by the FAA. The Federal Administration, Aviation Administration is the one that is administering NEPA. That's the federal level one. Has a lot more weight, in my mind, than SEPA, which is a state one. During SEPA, which is the next phase, the lead agency is the Port of Seattle. So it's a lot easier for the Port of Seattle to address issues rather than having to rely on the FAA for oversight. So the port has more control over the SEPA process. Also wanted to point out the EIS, Environmental Impact Statement. This is something that I feel should be mandatory for both of these. However, the EIS is a portion that always tries to get the port or anyone else tries to downplay the importance of the EIS. If they determine a determination of insignificance is reached. Wanted to point out a couple of things that we need to, I think, make sure we highlight, and I know that you briefly mentioned it, the separation of near-term NTP, near-term projects, and long-term projects. Historically, the airport has piecemealed large projects. One example being the removal of trees was piecemealed into 3 separate projects, although at the end of the day, there was over 3,000 or so trees being cut. But because it was piecemealed into smaller chunks, each chunk shows a smaller impact, right? So it's easier to deal with this smaller impact rather than this large impact. So that's what's happening now with the airport master plan. The master plan is actually a huge all-encompassing plan for expansion, but it's been piecemealed into near-term versus long-term, and they're only focusing on the near-term. In my mind, both must be considered for the entire overall impact, including cumulative effects of the entire project. I think that's critical. I think it's a mistake that they're only focusing on one portion of it. And also, there is a section on air emissions, and I've already had this conversation with with Evan about this, but the air emissions in the SEPA uses the Puget Sound Clean Air Agency's values, which is for all of Puget Sound, right? Now, we know that more recently, the city and the surrounding airport cities paid for, and the state also paid for, a specific airport communities recent area study, which was the UW study. And they're not including that as part of this NEPA process. I believe that's a mistake. Why? Because the airport communities are the ones that get more impacted, as shown by the UW study. So I think that is a critical missing piece of information that needs to be included in NEPA. And again, we only have 2 days, so I hope we can get these concerns addressed by Friday. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Rafael.
Yeah, thank you, Director Maxim. And thank you, Councilmember Kwan, for highlighting some areas that I think are definitely need more attention, particularly the study by UW for the airport communities. We worked with our state reps to make sure that was funded and to make sure that we're taking care of our communities. I really like to see us having that included. If there's any effort around that, feel free, Councilmember Kwan, to reach out, and I'm happy to add my voice to the chorus around that. I don't have anything specific other than what's already been brought up. I'm gonna leave some time on my calendar the next 2 days to make sure that I can get comments in before the Friday deadline. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Vincent.
Thank you, Mary Gall. And so far, I do agree with just about everything my colleagues have mentioned. A comment from me, Director Maxim, great presentation. I do understand that we're on a tight timeline and we will not have enough time for council comments on the draft letter before it's submitted. But my comments for staff regarding this is, for future reviews like this, I would strongly prefer that to see a draft circulated and to council in advance, even if the time is limited, like this instance here. But I think having the opportunity for council to provide input or at least review the letter before submission would just be instrumental going forward. Other than that, great work. Friday the 13th deadline. I got my fingers crossed for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Deputy Mayor Guzman.
No questions, but definitely thank you. This was a heavy lift. It was a lot of work and a long time coming in such a short amount of time. So thank you and your staff for everything that you've done. As always, very thorough, very well presented, good information. So just thank you for everything.
All right, thank you very much, and Deputy Mayor, an excellent presentation, Director. I actually were aware of it, and I was involved with it. I actually organized citizens from North SeaTac to write letters and reach out to the commissioner and all of those stuff. So I was intimately involved with that. Thank you very much, Director. The next item in the agenda will be the key city issue and request for direction. That will be 10 minutes presentation, 15 minutes questioning, and that will be interim city manager Kyle Moore.
Thank you, Mayor Egal. I'm going to be very quick tonight, so we'll get moving on from the meeting. This is just for your information. The city has applied for the Association of Washington Cities Benefit Trust. This is a $500 mini grant, and that will go toward the city's wellness program. So I just wanted to alert you to that. I know that was one of the programs we were looking at in the budget, so we're looking for money wherever we can find it. And then moving forward, we'll be closed on December 25th for Christmas and January 1st for New Year's Day. That will be all city facilities, so people enjoy the holidays with your family. And then our next council study session and regular council meeting are scheduled for Tuesday, January 14th. So thank you. Everyone
All right,
have a wonderful
we can
holiday.
Thank you very much. And any question, comments for getting $500 from the, yeah, it seems to me none. Okay, so we'll move to the next item, which is committee updates. And we have actually two updates, hopefully. That is the A and F. Councilmember Neguzzi.
Yeah, thanks. Every dollar counts. So the Administration and Finance Committee met on Thursday, December 5th, so this past week. The agenda was pretty brief. So we had some expense approvals. That was for three council members to attend the National League of Cities Summit. So that was just approving the expenses that were incurred during that trip. And then we had Human Services Division relocation. So this is really a two-parter. So interim city manager as well as director of human resources, May Barker, presented a proposal to relocate Human Services Division from CED, so the Community and Economic Development Division, or department, to the city manager's office. So this was approved by the committee. Changes will take into effect in 2025. There is no budget significance here. So as part of, I think sometime in Q1 2025, we will move the Human Services Division budget to the CMO office. So it's just moving those funds over and those people over to the city manager's office. As part of this presentation, there was also a ratification that was done for the Human Services Manager position, so increasing their salary range from 60 to 66. This adjustment was an internal pay equity consideration and would have been made regardless of the department move. So I just want to be clear with that. And so the committee ratified this item. And yeah, I think that was pretty much it. We did also, I will add that we did ask staff to come up with a work plan, a Human Services Division work plan. So I'm looking at our incoming city manager as I'm saying this. And so we wanted to see a work plan and understand what services and which people are impacted, right? What is the organizational structure going to look within the CMO's office? So that is all. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. The next committee update is from Councilmember Vincent, Public Safety and Justice.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. And this update's actually for the Highline Forum. So,
Okay,
yes,
please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So the city of SeaTac hosted the final Highline Forum of 2024. This bi-monthly meeting filled with regional stakeholders focused on two key themes. The first being childcare, and the second being the Sustainable Airport Master Plan, which we've already discussed here. As the host representative, I provided updates on SeaTac's community achievements and priorities, as well as participated in several discussions on regional child care initiatives. Just looking at my notes here. I briefly shared updates on our city's key projects, including affordable housing developments. I talked about the Mercy Housing at Engle Lake Station, the Amelia on 30th Avenue South, and the Symbolic Apartments, which recently broke ground, featuring both market rate and affordable housing. I also shared updates on community investments. So we talked about the completion of the sidewalk project at River Ridge and other connections to the Link Light Rail Station. We also shared our pilot farmers market in partnership with the African Community Housing Development. shared some photos about that. We also shared public safety enhancements. I talked about opening the new police storefront at the Polaris Apartments and launching the Business Watch program. Also, how SeaTac has hired its first mental health professional to assist with behavioral calls, just strengthening our community-oriented policing approach there. And lastly, I shared on our support for the asylum seekers. I shared that SeaTac was the only city in the state to secure funds from the Washington State Office of Refugees and Immigrant Affairs, allowing us to provide emergency housing in partnership with the Congolese Integration Network, which is based right here in SeaTac. I will forward the presentations from the other cities to my colleagues, but I'm also happy to take any questions you guys may have.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Councilmember Vincent. Councilmember Juan.
Thank you. I just had one quick meeting. So last Wednesday, the 4th, the Sound Cities Association had a business meeting at the Renton Pavilion, and it was just an administrative process. Every year we have to just approve the budget, and so everybody unanimously approved the budget. That was it. We do have a next meeting coming up this Thursday, December 12th, where we will be voting on board members for SCA for South Valley, and also discussing upcoming city priorities for 2025. So if anybody has any concerns about for 2025 that you think we should pursue, please let me know. It's not going to be finalized then, but the discussion is beginning now. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Council, okay, actually, we don't have any other updates. Do you have any updates, Deputy Mayor? Okay, okay, good, very good. So that's the committee updates. I don't have it actually, any updates my side. Okay, the consent agenda. Christina, it's all yours.
We have one item. It was reviewed at the November 21st Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting. Agenda Bill number 6544, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a multifamily tax exemption agreement with Symbolic Properties, LLC, related to the proposed Symbolic Properties Phase 1 site.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept it, consent agenda as presented?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have second?
Second.
Okay, we have second. Okay, so those who are council comments, any comments, questions? You don't have. Okay, so please unmute while I am actually reading the motion. And okay, a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented. For those who are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who are against, aye myself, and those who are against say nay. Okay, it's 6-0. Okay. Now I'm going to open public hearing on the 2025-2026 biannual budget. This will be 60 minutes presentation from our director, Director Bello. It's all yours. Tonight will be a long night, beautiful night.
Actually, I'm going to save us a little bit of time. I forgot to change that time on this presentation. So anyway,
thank you, Director.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. I do appreciate all the time and effort you have put into this budget process. And since we have discussed this a few times, I am going to make my presentation brief tonight. So the ordinance before you adopts the 25-26 biennial budget with revenues and expenditures based on the preliminary budget presented by the interim city manager on October 1st and modified by the council during the budget workshops in October. These modifications are detailed in the program errata sheet. The budget appropriations are consistent with council's financial policies and maintains our current service levels while increasing some service levels through the decision cards that were recommended by the interim city manager at the October 18th budget workshop. The budget utilizes 1.5 months of excess reserves and fully funds the 4-month strategic operating reserve for the general fund. The ordinance adopts expenditure and fund balance appropriations by fund totaling $366.2 million for the biennium and is attached as Exhibit A, and the salary schedule for the city employees is also attached. The council may approve the city's 2025-2026 biennial budget following the public hearing tonight, but we must approve it prior to December 31st, 2024. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. Council comments? No, just the comments, yeah. Yeah, you go.
Oh, okay. Hi. We're finally here. So I'm going to start with gratitude. So I just want to express my gratitude to Director Pilo, the department directors, interim city manager, for all your hard work on this biennial budget. I think this is my second or third process, maybe. And I feel like this was the most challenging. We made lots of requests. We added budget workshops, asked many, many questions. And so I just want to say that I really appreciate the time and effort that you have dedicated to thoroughly reviewing every item and ensuring that both new and existing council members and the public have a really solid understanding of the budget and the reason for why and the increases and all the little things. I also want to acknowledge that this isn't where we wanted to be. And the budget is not perfect, but we did our best to minimize the impact to the people, the services, and including our staff. We still have very healthy reserves, as Director Pilo just shared. We're still meeting our minimum of that 4-month reserve level. And I remain hopeful that we will continue to go in a positive direction. So with that, I'm happy to adopt this budget. I also want to note that during the last budget workshop, we mentioned, or I requested the inclusion of the Independence Day holiday back into the budget, so that will come at a later time, though it's not reflected in this packet. I do have requests of staff, and again, I'm looking at our incoming city manager as I'm saying this, and so I have 3 requests. So the first is by the end of Q1 2025 that we receive a presentation on potential new revenue streams. My second request is that we receive a mid-year budget checkpoint during a council study session to make any necessary adjustments if needed. And the third is that all department heads conduct a deep dive into our public safety contracts, specifically police and fire, to identify areas where we can maximize the benefits of our contract currently and suggest any necessary amendments or engage in any discussions around how to improve those contracts moving forward. So those are my 3 requests. Again, I just thank you so very much. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Nguzi. Councilmember Kwan.
Yeah, thank you. I know, I appreciate all of the hard work that we have been putting into this in recent months. I feel, obviously the budget as it is not sustainable. It's not ideal. We really, in my mind, we really should have been working on this throughout the entire year instead of just, for the last few months. Fortunately, we do have funds above our reserve to get us out of this pinch. I hope that this is a one-time thing and we don't ever have to do that again. There are a lot of other projects that we have that we would like to accomplish, North SeaTac Park, potential new civic center and all of that stuff that we need these funds for. And it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to get those accomplished without that available in our excess reserves. We're at the out of time, basically. So I will reluctantly be in favor of approving this with the intent that starting January, or actually even immediately, we all, including the council, need to get together and figure out ways to bring in additional revenue. I think we've lost our focus on that, to bring in revenue. The key, though, is we've got to keep costs low for our community members. So the trickiest part is without increasing costs on our community, right? So that's the whole balancing act, and looking forward to diving into this, or continuing to dive into this in the coming months. Thank you. Oh, again, thank you for your hard work. I know that you put in a lot of hours on this. Thanks.
Councilmember Lavelle.
Yeah, thank you, Director Pilo. Thank you to Councilmember Neguse and Councilmember Kwan. I agree with those items. I think especially Councilmember Neguse taking an immediate look into public safety contracts. I think the only thing that I have to add to this, first off, just the appreciation again for helping me go through my first budget process as a council member. I've been on the other side advocating for city and county budget changes many, many times over the last 20 years, but it's a little bit different when you sit on this side, and so I appreciate your patience. I want to look at our public safety contracts. I want to look at the options with PSRFA, Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority, about the difference between the impact of a contract city versus an annex city. And I want to be as clear as I can. If it saves the city government money but costs our residents more, it is not a win. And that's something I will be voting against. If there is a way that being an annex city serves our residents better and has, the same or lower cost for them, then that's fine with me. But I think we've been talking about this and hoping that a one-time swoop in of becoming an annex city can solve our budget woes. Those are the residents' woes, whether it's coming from our budget or coming from another tax area. I want to, we have to think about that long and hard. I guess I shouldn't say I won't vote for it. We need to understand it, and if the quality of service can be sustained or exceed what we're already getting, which I think is a good quality of service. In short, I mean that's where the challenging parts of this conversation came from, were from those increases, and I think if we were, I want to make sure we're getting the best value that we can for those services. I want to make sure we're examining every angle of the contracts. I know that's something that arose to us that we just didn't understand it as well as we could, or we didn't have the right eyes in on those to make sure that we're getting what we need out of the contracts, or that we're paying a right amount. Also, it's not a comment on the individuals or even the systems that are serving us. I think we are getting a good level of service. The costs have risen. Wildfire mitigation has changed the way the state, lots of municipalities are looking at budgets, especially with the Regional Fire Authority. So I do think we need to look at revenue, not just overall. I agree, we want to look at different ways that we can have progressive revenue that supports our city, but we also need to look at ways that the state can, this is a statewide crisis around public safety, the first responder support. So I will be happy as we go into a funding biennium with the state government to go to the legislature and talk about this, ask questions about it as, I guess, interim city manager Moore. This is very much an area of expertise of yours. As you see things popping up over the next couple weeks even, let us know where we can start making our voice heard, and to your staff one more time. Thank you for all the hard work. I'll be supporting the budget today. Thank you.
Councilmember Vincent.
Thank you, Mayor Gall. I'll start by expressing my full support for the proposed budget here. And just as a newly elected council member, I deeply appreciate the hard work and dedication that went into its preparation. Director Pilo, city staff, you guys have been incredible and very responsive to my requests and questions, especially in organizing the last-minute additional budget workshop, which I found invaluable. So thank you for that. My only request moving forward is that if it's possible for us to start the budget preparation process earlier, just to allow us more time to strategize. I do support the previous request by Councilmember Neguse, and I share the sentiments of Councilmember Kwan as well. But I think if we can implement that going forward, we will be in a much better space. So thank you all for your hard work.
Thanks, Councilmember Vincent. Deputy Mayor Guzman.
So the tough part about going second to last is everyone's already said mostly everything. that I might have wanted to say or even ask questions. The one thing I do want to add though, and I feel like we didn't get a chance to get to it, so for the next budget cycle, is talking about revenue, because that was one of the last slides that we had at one of our last budget meetings, or maybe it was like that Friday one, and we never got to it. And so I just want to put it out there that we as a council didn't allow for that conversation to happen. And that's why we are looking at the situation that we're looking, because we didn't discuss what was going to keep us moving forward as a city. We're only talking about the deficit and we're not talking about revenue. And so that needs to happen. And I'm wondering if then maybe for the next budget cycle, that's put in somewhere earlier so that we don't get sidetracked or get lost like in the minutia the way we did the last time. So that's on us. I'm not putting that back on staff at all. I'm just saying for us to keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Well, I agreed almost everything that you have said. You see, you even spoke before me, Deputy Mayor. There is a cost of being Deputy Mayor, so, you know, we speak last. Well, I want to say that good work, universally gratitude for your hard work, you and your staff, Director Bailo. I share with, I want to mention what Council Member Kwan said, that we have to really find a way. That will need political courage. We cannot pay fire and police from our general fund. We have to find other sources. We have to think about the different ways, actually, on how to, you know, the only increase we got is the public safety one. The rest stay below, actually, budget. So that conversation will start soon. How much we raise property tax of SeaTac 2025, 2026? If you general percentage, general.
Do you want dollars or percentage?
Percentage is good.
It was a 0% increase. We levied the amount that we levied last year plus any new construction. So it resulted in a 0% increase the way the math is done by King County.
So 0% increase. And I want to tell you one thing. There is a cities, and that's plural, in King County that have increased 52%. 52%. That shows you where we are, you know. So I'm glad where we are. We have, you know, rainy day fund, plus we have extra, plus saving. But as Council Member Kwan said, that we want to use that money to something else. We don't want to, you know, pay our other obligations. So I will close if there's that portion, and I will entertain the public comment section. We have of this actually biannual budget, and we have one public comment. That will be Mr. Errol Gibson of SeaTac.
Yeah. I understand the budget just fine. Things ain't as rosy as it looks. After buying the election, this majority council was elected in 2021 and proceeded to screw up the city finances ever since. From the previous majority council, with Peter Kwan tracking expenses, you were handed not only a balanced budget, but with a $21 million surplus over and above the 4-month reserve requirement in the general fund. Revenues balanced expenses, and all was good with SeaTac's financial world, even through COVID. A little history. The majority council from 2016 to 2021, prior to your election, started with an intentional $2.7 million general fund deficit. This was an act of the outgoing 2015 ousted and bitter majority led by now Representative Mia Gregerson. Their last act was to repeal the utility tax they implemented earlier after the staff already had spent the money. They also granted a 2-year extension to the port in the same meeting on the ILA at the time that was wholly lopsided and costly favoring the port. Peter Kwan and the majority council elected thereafter 2016 to 2021 let us out of the hole with a renegotiated port ILA and responsible spending and hiring leading to the surplus funds which you inherited. No utility tax or rise in property tax has been necessary thereafter. What have you done since? You have added 28 new positions to the city staff with no corresponding revenue for the most part and no reasonable justification of an increased workload. Further, Mayor Gall, who sits on the Regional Fire Board, did not inform the staff or the council in March this year of the 21% increase in the RFA's contract expense, and the council staff spent even more money not knowing this. Finally, in September of this year, did you notice there might be a problem? And you had to use $7.7 million of our reserve funds to pay expenses and recurring costs that you ran up since your election. You've seen the charts and graphs. You know it'll probably get worse. Only now in 2024 do you recognize you can't keep doing this lest the city run out of all fund reserves, forced to reduce staff, and raise taxes. This incompetence and abysmal attitude toward public funds will be your undoing. You could bankrupt a lemonade stand.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Now I will be closing the public comments at 7:35. So I will be reading the motion on the table. Agenda bill number 6355, ordinance adopting the city's 2025-2026 biannual budget. At the November 26, 2024 regular council meeting, it was moved by council member and second by council member Simpson to pass the agenda bill 6365. It is the motion on the table now. Council discussion ensued during the public hearing, and therefore we just need to vote now. So please unmute while I'm reading this. I was giving you the background of why we are here and why we were not there. So please unmute your mic while I'm reading the motion, which says that agenda bill number 6355, an ordinance adopting the city's 2025-2026 biannual budget. For those who are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those who are against, say nay. Okay, that will be 6-0. Thank you. Okay, action items. Thank you, Director Bailo. Agenda bill number 6566, a motion authorizing the city through the mayor, Mohammed Igal, to execute an employment agreement with Jonathan Young for the position of SeaTac city manager. This will be 15 minutes presentation from Senior Assistant City Attorney Ha.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next 15 minutes is all you.
Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members, as you recall, on November 19, 2024, the council voted to authorize the mayor, a city council member, and senior assistant city attorney to negotiate a contract with Jonathan Young to be the new SeaTac city manager. I thank the mayor and council member negotiate for their hard work within the last few weeks. This negotiation has been tough because it was with a lawyer. But the parties negotiated in earnest, and the process resulted in a proposed employment agreement, which is before you. The material terms are within the contract unless the council has any questions about the negotiated terms. It is in the best interest of the city for the council to approve the terms and to sign the same agreement effective today, December 10, 2024.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Senior Assistant City Attorney. Okay, Council Member Ngusi, would you like to make a motion?
So move.
Do I have second?
You have a second?
Okay. All right. Council discussion. Council Member Ngusi.
Okay, sure. I'm excited to support this and welcome you, Jonathan Young, to the city and to serve in this capacity. I will say, I was super impressed when we held our event in this room, and, you were up against a well-loved and respected director. And still, the resounding feedback from council members, staff, and community was, you have a difficult decision to make. You were well-liked by all parties. And so I'm just excited for you to come with your experience, expertise, and to contribute to the city of SeaTac. And so I look forward to working with you. It was kind of fun negotiating back and forth. That was tough. And so I'm happy we're going to have you on our side for some of these upcoming negotiations. And so welcome to the city of SeaTac, and I just look forward to your service here. Thank you.
Councilmember Kwan.
Thank you. I have been following kind of indirectly the negotiation, and I have to say that I am impressed, and I hope that you will, once you're on our side, you'll be working on our behalf. So overall, I think it's we found a great candidate here and has pretty good experience, a very good understanding of city roles and all of that stuff. Also has some insight into airport-related stuff. Although ours is a little bit different, but I think it will be there will be a lot of transferable knowledge involved here, so I'm very happy that we're at this point. So.
Thank you, Councilmember Lavelle.
Yeah, Mr. Young, thank you for sticking with us for several months of interview processes. I also, listened to and was privy to a lot of feedback from folks about their interactions with you, and I think the respect you showed our community and the research you did on SeaTac before answering any questions was, an evident sign of, or was evident to me that you cared about fighting for this job. I wasn't part of the negotiations, but it sounds like you cared a lot about fighting for making sure it was an equitable salary for the kind of work that's going to happen. I know a relocation is a big deal. There's a really, really good food scene down here in South King County, so don't be sad about leaving the Portland area. We can outdo them in pretty much any of the areas. I see some nods from the back. No offense to Portland. I welcome Portland City Council to invite us down for an all-expenses-paid trip to test my theory if they so desire. No, I'm really excited about having you join the team. There's a way that I'm looking forward to you bringing some of your phrasing to our work. I think there's a really powerful way that you're using words, few words to say a lot of things, not necessarily a strength of mine. So looking forward to voting in favor of approving the contract and having you start with us a little over a month. So thank you.
All right, Councilmember Finson.
Thank you, Mary Gall. Mr. Young, I'm going to be honest with you. You were not my first pick during this selection process. But that said, I am genuinely happy to have you join our team as the next city manager. I've heard great things about your leadership, and I believe you will bring fresh perspectives and valuable experience to help us achieve our city goals. I am looking forward to working with you and seeing the impact of your vision and, well, the council's vision and your dedication to our community. So congratulations and welcome aboard. Thank you.
Thank you for your honesty, which is very rare actually in politics. And thank you, Councilman Vincent. Deputy Mayor Guzman.
Yeah, Joe, yay. I appreciate that you said that. Yeah, welcome, Jonathan. I actually know Diana Perez from Vancouver, and she had a lot of great things to say about you, and she was super excited that we chose you. So I'm looking forward to you bringing your expertise and hopefully helping level up our small but mighty city.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Well, actually, I was not in favor, actually, as Joe said it. But I know that you after I actually negotiated with you, I know you will make us, our city, a nice place to live. There's a lot of things to learn, actually. One of my hesitation was lack of city management experience, but you did it, other skills that you have. I was convinced by Councilmember Nguzi, yeah. But I want to tell you that SeaTac is a beautiful city, and really, hopefully you will enjoy it, you will do it well, and we will support you, all of you. I will support you as much as I can, and welcome back. Welcome to city of SeaTac. Okay, if there's no any other comments, I'd like to, yes.
Real quickly, I know you were not working in Portland. I just think the food scene down there. I know you were in Vancouver, in case anyone in the public thinks I wasn't paying attention during the interviews. I was paying attention during the interviews. I'll take an invitation to either city, from either city council. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that correction. Yes, and so We can make people important and happier. Yeah. So I will, Council, please unmute while I'm reading the motion. Agenda Bill number 6566, a motion authorizing the city through the Mayor Mohammed Egal to execute an employment agreement with Jonathan Young for the position of the city manager. For those who are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And aye. So it will be 6-0. Okay. Congratulations, sir. All right. The next item.
I'd like to make a motion. So now that we've got this underway, I move to suspend the rules to allow a new item on the agenda related to the new city manager transition.
Second. Second.
Okay. So we have motion and we have the second.
We need don't we need majority to suspend the rules?
Well, there's no debate, and then you need to vote, and it requires 2/3 vote.
Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry.
Okay. So actually we have motion and we have second. Now it's the council committees. Or we suspended the rules.
So right now you need to vote on whether to suspend the rules.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's vote it. I will start the finishing.
Yeah.
Okay. Negusi.
I will entertain. Yes.
Okay, Kwan.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion. So yes.
And Lovell.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what this is. Yes.
Okay. And Deputy Mayor.
No.
And I will be no, actually. So you don't have supermajority, right?
We only need 4 out of the 6.
There's 6 people, so 4 is the.
Enough. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's talk about it.
Okay, so I move to authorize Jonathan Young to be involved in all aspects of the city's business following the execution of the agreement prior to the commencement date of his employment without compensation, and to have interim city manager Kyle Moore assist him to the best of his ability prior to the cessation of the interim position. The reason for this is to promote a smooth transition. That's my motion.
To discuss the item.
We do need a second of this motion.
Second, I can second that, sure. Or
I just had a clarifying question. So we're asking Mr. Young to start the onboarding process without compensation. Is that correct? Is that what you're proposing, Councilmember Kwan?
So we can move to. Did we have a?
So yeah, let's get a second first, and then that conversation.
so I'm happy to second Mr. Kwan's motion.
Okay. So we have second. Now we have to vote that, right? Again, right?
We're discussing
Okay.
before the vote.
Are we discussing or? Okay. All right. Good. Okay, Ms.
So may I give some background
Yes.
for your discussion? So in the contract under Section 15C, we have agreed for Mr. Young to immediate and continuing effect a clause on non-disclosure of confidential information and to allow him to immediately, upon the effective date, if he chooses to engage on the city's behalf prior to his starting date, which is according to the contract is the 16th of January. Mr. Young has agreed to work pro bono, basically, to allow him the opportunity to transition and have a solid head start. And it's not really a full-time endeavors, but rather on a limited basis where he could participate in city businesses, the crucial meetings and issues, so that we could have, the city can benefit from a smooth transition from the interim position to the permanent position. And that is within the contract under 15C.
Okay. So we have that clarification.
I'm happy to expand on my motion.
You make the motion, and so we will go at council comments. So now you can comment why you are filing this motion and what's the reason behind it.
Okay, thank you. So a couple of reasons here. I have several reasons. One is we need to make sure that we have a smooth transition period. And historically, when our city hired a new city manager from a vacancy, we want to help them get on board and up to speed as quickly as possible so that they can hit the ground running, become accustomed to staff and all of that stuff. And so that's one for the smooth transition period. Number two, employee morale. We all know that employee morale right now is a little bit low, especially with the budget shortfall, among other things. We need to help our employees and Jonathan begin building relationships as quickly as possible. And then number three, my understanding that Jonathan has already expressed willingness to come on board and not work, but be involved with some of the stuff without pay, right? So that's that's free work. And in my experience, even in the private sector, when we have people who are at the director level or higher that are coming on board, oftentimes as part of the offer, they will offer to start as quickly as possible. Why? Because they want to become familiar with what they're going to have to be doing and ensure that the transition is smooth, right? And also, there's lower pressure that way, right? And everybody has more of a kind of like a get to know each other period, right? I myself have done this. I've taken roles at companies that are high level where I offered, hey, I'll start tomorrow, and just to get a feel for what's going on here and all of that, and so that I believe that basically free involvement here. It only benefits our city, our staff, and our council members as well, so we can also get to know each other, right? And then finally, the most important one, number 4, is the airport. The NEPA-SEPA is happening right now, right? We could use all the help we can get, but related to that is North SeaTac Park. Now, it is my understanding, and I'm sure you're all aware of this, with Dave Updegrove's moving up to the state lands commissioner, okay? His role, one of the front runners is Hamdi Mohammed, who we are involved with right now in the North SeaTac Park negotiation, and she can be gone within a matter of a week or two, depending on when that occurs. And so there is a timeline, and also we know that Port Commissioner Mohammed is favorable to SeaTac right now. We don't know what's going to happen after that fact. And I think that we need to move that forward as quickly as possible, make sure that Jonathan is familiar with what's going on there and be involved with that as well. So those are my reasons.
Councilor Nguzi.
Yeah, no, this was brought up during our negotiations, and I think that Mr. Young has shared that, and you can speak for yourself, I welcome it, that you're happy to support with the transition. I think that makes sense. I do have concerns, though. I'm hearing that I see the benefit, and the start date is as the 16th to start immediately. That's almost over a month of free work, right? You can factor in holidays and all these things. I'm curious about employment laws. I'm curious about workers' compensation. I'm curious about your transition from work, right? We didn't speak directly. We spoke to our attorneys. And so I do have questions and concern around that, right, because of the liability that it can hold for the city of SeaTac. That's my biggest concern, is just protecting the city. But of course, in terms of all the things that Mr. Kwan has shared, in terms of the transition and all the other things, those are all positive, really great, beneficial things to the city. But so I would like it if we are to move forward with that. If the majority of the council is supportive of this idea, I would like to see a separate contract that outlines those specific concerns that I just raised around employment laws and workers' comp and things like that, and how that works, and time that you're willing to commit to the city. Though obviously there's no expectation, or given that this would be, as Ha said, pro bono. So I see the benefit. I want to understand the risks fully before supporting this. And also, I'm curious to hear Mr. Young's perspective, as well as other council members. So I'll give it back to the mayor. Thank you.
It will be beneficial if we can hear other council members before we hear Mr. Yan. So, Mr. Yan, glad to have you. I wanna call council member in Lavelle.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is intriguing, but I'm against it pretty fully after I've had a whopping 3 minutes or 6 minutes or whatever to think about it. There's a couple of reasons. First off, is I'm just in general not a fan of unpaid work. I think we should be paying people for the work they're doing. It's generous. But I think when you're here, I want you all the way here on the payroll. I'm actually concerned about morale and the impact of morale of bringing someone on at a time when a lot of our department heads are probably going to be taking vacation, right? There's a number of different religious, cultural, and spiritual holidays over the next month, particularly as we go through the end of December. And I don't think it's quite fair to folks who have already planned to leave, and now their new boss might be coming in and getting to know some other folks. There's going to be a bit of a weird dynamic there that I'm just that's will be up to you to manage, right? And I'm confident in your skills that you could come into a weird dynamic and manage it just fine. I wouldn't have voted for your contract if I wasn't confident about that. However, I think it's best to set you up with the best foot forward by let us carry forward with the vision that our interim city manager, Mr. Moore, has dutifully and skillfully handled. Let's have one cook in the kitchen at a time for the city of SeaTac. And really, I think there's a part of it where we have no more council meetings. We have no more opportunities for the public to come forward and see you in action. I'm not a big fan of having a city manager doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes until the public has had a chance to be involved a little bit more also. It's a little bit of a kind of a sunshine law thing here. No, I don't think it's a law, but like a philosophy of keeping as much daylight on our interaction. I think we're going into an exciting period with your leadership. I want you to have the benefit of as much daylight on your skill set as possible, as much access for our senior staff, really up and down the org chart. I want them to be able to have you there. When you step in, you're commanding the full authority. They're getting to see how quickly you, with decision-making power, can grasp information, make decisions. This is what inspired me during your interviews. And I want us to benefit from that with a full-throated, fully implemented city manager. I get the appeal of having you start earlier or having it be for free. If I thought this was the right move, I'd say we do it today, and you're fully paid going forward today, and you have full decision-making authority. I don't like this idea of kind of a confusing authorizing environment, and staff not being here during your onboarding, who might typically be a key part of you understanding their scopes of work. So I'm not as concerned where the majority of council is going to land on this one. I'm voting no on this, no matter how it lands. Hopefully, my logic is sound on this, and I'm happy to debate back and forth if that's what folks want to do about my logic here. But please, really, it's about you starting with a really strong authorizing environment. I think the way you put words together is going to inspire your department heads. And if they're out for 3 weeks trying to burn up PTO before the end of the year, if they're trying to figure out family plans, if you're trying to figure out a move, I don't think that does it for us. So I want to see your leadership start with the kind of flourish that I think you're capable of. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Lavelle. Councilmember Vincent.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is interesting. I think if Mr. Young has agreed to start earlier pro bono, I fully support this motion, especially if it's covered in the contract. I think Mr. Young's willingness here to step into this role ahead of schedule without compensation speaks volumes about his dedication to our city and its success. I don't know who mentioned it earlier, but this is actually quite common at the executive level. You want to get in, you want to hit the ground running. But I wouldn't be opposed to potentially amending the contract here. And I don't know if that's done through another motion to have him start earlier. And then we could reduce the time that he is working pro bono. If the concern is, well, starting tomorrow through the 16th, pro bono, if that's a non-starter for most folks here, then let's amend that official pay date to January 2nd. That's where I'm leaning. I would love to hear from Mr. Young as well, but I'm happy to support this. Yes, as the previous speaker mentioned, yes, there may be some key staff taking time off, but the city isn't closed. I believe the city's closed on December 25th and January 1st. We still have a city to operate. We still have a city to run. There was a point about North SeaTac Park, which is something I'm very passionate about. and that potential of losing a supporter from the Port Commission, that does cause some concern for me. So I don't want to wait on this if we don't have to, if that will help us, secure those goals there. So I will pass it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Pearson. Deputy Mayor Guzman.
So I couldn't have said it better than Councilmember Lovell. I have a few concerns as well, and I understand at the executive level this is common. So thank you for reiterating that, Councilmember Vincent. I think for me there is just like it just doesn't quite make sense at this point to do that. I think I do get the onboarding, I understand that, but it does kind of cause confusion for me that if this person is working pro bono, but then they have authority, like that doesn't make sense, right? It's an either or, right? Like we pay him or we don't, and he starts later. I don't want to not pay, and I want him to be fully on. So I'm not for this proposal in particular.
Councilmember Negusi.
Sorry, Mayor. Somebody mentioned this being included as part of the contract. So I think the section that you're referring to, is the non-compete or the confidentiality clause. Is that correct?
It does have the language that in the event that he starts earlier than It does have the language that if he were to start earlier than the commencement date, which is January 16, that clause would cover the confidentiality would apply, which means that if he participates in city business, he will safeguard that information during the period that he's not within the commencement period.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense? It's not explicit, but it is in there.
Yeah, so it's specific to that. It's not, I'm trying to understand because I like to err on the side of caution, and I've seen employment claims come through. How does that work if you get injured while working on behalf of the city? And I'm sorry, I'm going to have to be frank. You're an attorney, right? And so by nature, right? And so I understand that you're going to be representing and working for us, commencement date January 16th, as it's currently written in the contract that we negotiated and agreed upon. And so I'm wondering about those things, right? I'm also wondering when is the last day that you're on the City of Vancouver's payroll. I'm wondering about the move and the transition period that you need for your family to make the move out here. And so I have a lot of, and I agree with a lot of what Councilmember Lovell said around, just having a strong footing. I know it's chaotic to move, to transition and dot all the things, cross your T's and I's and whatnot at your other job as you transition. And so, but my concern is around the safeguards around the city. And again, I'm not saying you have any ill intent or anything, but I have to be mindful around if you did get injured on the job, is that coming under, or is he covered under that? Because he's doing work before the January 16th start date? Those are the questions that come to my mind. And just in general, like fair employment practice things that come to my mind. That's what bubbles up. And sorry, the mayor has not spoken yet, so thank you for giving me a second.
Thank you very much, Councilman Negusi. This was not part of the agenda, and it's actually motion suspension of the rules, and it take time. So we all have to speak and ask questions, and Senator Young will take those questions. And when I speak, and then if there's no any other comments, he will speak, and then we will close and move on. Okay, so this is the greatest political stand. Basically, I and Council Member Negusi were negotiating through our city attorney, senior city attorney with Mr. Young. We were talking about everything, compensation, all of those, car allowance, all of those things, million other things. One of those things we were discussing or negotiating was actually the day of his start. It was Mr. Young proposed on the 16th, moving from another city, another county to King County. I was fine with that. Someone somehow brought it on the 2nd. I say no. I say 21st after MLK Day, Then we negotiated with him back, and we settled on the 16th. And the last minute in the council meeting, that someone bring the motion, and that's not right. And I will vote, when I say that's not right, I'm responsible, my fault, and I'm not going to vote for that. So now in all of those questions, Mr. Young, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, City Council. And I want to thank, our Assistant City Attorney for paving the way for this possibility. I think there's a practical reality to transitioning. One is that until 20 minutes ago, I was not prepared to give notice to the City of Vancouver that I would be transitioning out of my law practice. And so as of tonight, I will be winding down my service as City Attorney, and that will take some time. The date that we've landed on of January 16th is a reasonable time because the City Council of Vancouver has been informed and is aware that this was a very distinct possibility. With that said, whatever the council decides, there will be time and attention that I will be paying to getting up to speed on the many issues that are before you. We heard from the presentation on your outgoing city attorney. There's 33 years of experience your city attorney is walking out with, and she will be somebody that I will absolutely be reaching out to start building my own knowledge and understanding of the key issues that you are facing as a city, we are facing as a city. The clause that was put into the contract is really, in my mind, it turns on one thing, is I will be researching, I will be thinking, I will be preparing the work plans that need to be presented over the year ahead. Really the only question is, do you want me to have access to confidential information in advance of my start date? And whatever you decide on that is your decision, absolutely. From an employment law standpoint, I will defer to your Assistant City Attorney, but I would tell you that our contract start date is January 16th, and I will not be engaged in the full scope of duties of City Manager until that day. And from an authority standpoint, you have an interim City Manager who is making the day-to-day decisions, and it is both ill-advised and it would be improper of me to come in and muddy those waters of the decision-making authority that your interim city manager has. So the effective date of the contract of January 16th is when the assumption of duties will officially happen, and I will begin making decisions on behalf of the city of SeaTac. In the interim, I will be working to get up to speed, and I will be reading, and I will be talking to community members and small business owners and doing all of the legwork I can to make sure that I'm ready to hit the ground running. But that doesn't necessarily need to come in the form of a formal adoption of this. It can at the will of council. And so ultimately, I leave to your discretion what you choose to do with the motion, but my commitment is between now and my start date, I will absolutely be reading everything I possibly can, making all the plans that I possibly can to make sure that together I am prepared to ask the right questions and assist in carrying out your vision in 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Young. We will close that, and we will take a vote, right, for the motion filed by Peter Kwan. So let's proceed with the motion. We are behind almost 45 minutes from our schedule. So let's take a vote. Every person comments and ask questions. So all of you want to comment about it? Okay, good. So I will start with Mr. Vincent because he raised his first hand. Mr. Vincent.
Thank you, Mayor Gall. I had raised my hand for a different purpose. Hearing from Mr. Young, it sounds that he is willing to start early at the council's discretion here. I still support the motion if that's what the council wants to do. I see the benefit of it. I hear the concerns from my colleagues as well. I just want to position the city of SeaTac for success during this transitional period. North SeaTac Park is still on my mind. I want to move on that quickly. We have an attorney here with plenty of years of experience. We also had a tenured attorney who's walking out the door as well. So I still support this motion, Mr. Mayor, and I'll pass it back to you.
Councilmember Lavelle.
Yeah, thank you. I'll add a little bit more clarification to my comments earlier. I agree we do have a city to operate and that we can't pause. But we also have a very qualified interim city manager who has done a fine job leading our city. He was also our political lead for years at the city of SeaTac. So I'm not so concerned about potential appointments with King County Councilmember Dave Upthegrove's impending ascension, transition, parallel move, whatever you might call it, over to Commissioner of Public Lands, and then the replacement potential for Commissioner Mohammed. Mr. Moore, I think maybe you're getting tacit direction from council to chase this thing down as much as you can, regardless of what happens with the vote tonight and Mr. Young. We want to see this happen. Frankly, I think with the volume of things that we have going on in the city, it would be hard for you to be able to get useful information in time to take action on something like North SeaTac Part. I think I want our highly qualified staff, including our outgoing city attorney and our senior assistant city attorney, if we're going to focus legal attention on this, there are folks who we have empowered to do that, and we've encumbered you with that role, and I think that you're getting clear direction, or at least that would be my hope, is that you pursue that. I think we're in good shape leading our city. We have our budget that's just been passed. We have, we just have things in shape. You will have plenty to research without having access to privileged information. I don't think you're going to be any shortage. You're going to be reading FAA guidelines that previously maybe only Mr. Kwan had gotten to the bottom of as our kind of transportation, he's on the national, was NLC's transportation committee. There's plenty to read without having access to privileged information. That doesn't really help us make better decisions. And I'm going to reiterate, I just don't think it's as democratic to have you coming on board when your supervisors, who are sitting here or remote, are not going to be meeting. The public will not have access to you in the same way that they might normally. You are going to be the single most accountable. You're the single point of accountability for our residents, right? They have to wait every couple of years to vote me in or out, right? For you, they can come to us immediately and say, something is not going right. And I'm not so comfortable with you having access to all that stuff without them also having access to you, if that makes some sense. So I think if anything, I've gotten a little more vociferous and like I'm getting more riled up about like, no, take the time, make the right move. That timeline that was in that contract we just voted on was the right one. Also, just as a final caveat, the idea of amending the contract doesn't work for me also because it hasn't had public eyes on. We're talking about changing the start date of a city manager would be something I'd want the public to have. We already heard public comment tonight about the start date, so it's obviously something there are folks paying attention to. So I say I look forward to seeing you on January 16th in the official capacity, and I would like to see you do lots of good research in unofficial ways as you make your transition here.
Mr. Kwan.
Thank you. So during our interview with Jonathan, I recall that he mentioned that he would be available to start January 2nd. And when I saw the original contract, it's been since revised in the last, I think, 36 hours. It said January 2nd, and then it was changed to January 16th. Now, we've been searching for a new city manager for months. And here we have one that we agreed to bring on. And Jonathan has agreed to start ASAP. And January 2nd was the date. And so why would the contract change from the 2nd to the 16th, right? Now, Councilmember Lovell is talking about sunshine and all of that, right? So why would the change from the 2nd to the 16th when we have somebody who's willing to come on the 2nd then, or even earlier? Anybody have an answer to that?
I'm happy to answer from my perspective, at least, Councilmember. One is that the start date among all the other terms was one of a series of movable ingredients to a successful contract that was very hard negotiated by your team. Ultimately, I did express that January 2nd was not my preferred date. I did indicate that as a matter of deference and continuing relationship building with the Vancouver City Council, it's important to me that I navigate a smooth transition out of the city attorney role. I also heard from the SeaTac side of the negotiating team that sooner is good, and we want somebody to hit the ground running and be prepared to take offices expeditiously. With that said, with that back and forth, there was also a recognition of the fact that in the new year, much like I've indicated, I will absolutely be reading voracious amounts of material related to the FAA, the North SeaTac Park. There's a lot that's going to keep me busy between now and January 16th. And so when the date of January 16th was ultimately landed on as this agreement, it felt like a middle ground that would allow me to do a lot of prep work and come in well prepared to hit the ground running.
Okay, thanks. Just wanted to reiterate that at the executive level, this is a common thing, bringing people on earlier, and oftentimes good executives will offer that, and which Jonathan has graciously offered. And so I don't see why we would not want to take advantage of this.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Mr. Kwan, Nguzi, Councilman Nguzi.
Thank you. And thank you, Jonathan, for clarifying that around the start date. I think it ultimately ended up being compromise of what the city council and the incoming city manager wanted. So I raised my concerns already, so I will not support this motion. I'm happy to make a motion to, if you all want to entertain, given what Mr. Young has shared, and if it really is specifically around having access to relevant information, including those that are confidential, I'm happy to move to amend a motion to allow for that, so that you can have a successful transition and you have access to all the information that you need, including budget documents, whatever is necessary. Specific language that I was not supporting is around the pro bono work and all that, but I'm happy to give you access to information if the council would like to support and entertain that motion.
Mr. Kwan, please.
I'll
Hold on. No. You
Second
speak
motion
your
to me.
time, okay? You speak your time, okay? You finish, Councilman Nguzi?
Okay. Yes, so I'm making I move to amend the original motion to provide incoming city manager Jonathan Young with access to all relevant information, documents, resources that are needed to support a successful transition into your new role.
Okay,
I
do I
second
have
that.
second? Okay, you second it, Mr. Kwan? All right, so let's actually take a vote of that, okay? All right, for those who are in favor. What's that?
Do we have to
It's-
discuss on this?
We don't have, or we can
Yes,
proceed.
discuss it now, or you can proceed if
Yes,
there's no
so
comment.
let's, it takes more time I was expecting this. So let's proceed voting it. For those who are favor in the motion, amending the contract, allowing council, incoming city manager to have access to confidential information through the confidential information. For those who are in favor, say aye.
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 Can I make a clarifying question here?
Yes, please.
Looking at the original motion, so the amendment is actually to strike quite a bit of it. Is that, it, actually, I'm looking at it and it kind of looks like almost a whole new motion. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
I wonder why we are doing this. I mean, why motion to another motion to another motion to another motion? Something very simple, that we negotiate a contract with city manager. He said he will be available on the 16th. Someone somehow, somewhere asking him to come a little bit early for no known reason from the council members. I, as a mayor, which doesn't have that much power, actually asking him to come on the after MLK, but we brought another motion actually asking him to come earlier without actually having conversation. So I want to strike actually the motion filed by Mr. Kwan, and let's take that.
Point of
actually-
order, you cannot do that.
Correct. Only the maker of the motion can actually withdraw that based on your.
Okay, so do you want to withdraw it? Because you don't have the support of the
No,
council.
I would not withdraw. Thanks.
Okay, so do you want to proceed voting that, take a vote of that?
So in my thought is based on this, it's not necessarily an amendment, but that it would be a second motion.
Okay, so,
So I think that you need to vote on the first one
okay,
and then entertain the second one.
beautiful, thank you. So what was your motion so we can take vote, Mr. Kwan?
My original motion was to authorize Jonathan Young to be involved in all aspects of the city's business following the execution of the employment agreement prior to the commencement date of his employment without compensation, and to have interim city manager Kyle Moore assist him in the best of his ability prior to cessation of the interim position.
For those who are in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 For those who are against, say nay.
Nay.
And I will be nay. So that's 4 against 2. Okay, so let's take the second motion filed by Council Member Neguzi. What's your motion, Ms. Eka?
Yes. So,
So it was seconded by Kwan. Let's see, to provide Mr. Young to have access to all relevant information to ensure a smooth transition. Was that?
yeah. Information, documents, resources needed to ensure a smooth transition.
So for those who are in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Aye. You abstain?
No, you're going to give me a second option, right?
Uh,
You gave me an option of saying aye. I'm waiting for the second option.
which I don't
We didn't
have
get
it.
to debate this one, so you might not
I
have picked
don't
up
have
on.
it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So
You don't have my vote on this, is what I'm saying. I'm going to say nay.
So that
I was gonna say nay too. You didn't ask nay, Mayor. You didn't give us the nay option.
okay.
You just asked for the
Well,
aye without
I
nay.
will. Okay. I will repeat myself again. For those who are in favor, say aye.
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 And aye. For those who are against, say nay.
Nay.
So it is different 2 and 4, which is broadly say that Guzman and Lovell are against it, and Igal and Kawan and Negusi and Vincent are for it. Okay, so let's wrap up that, and we'll move then. Okay.
One quick comment. It's going to be hard to get you to take vacations. I'm trying to get you out of, just take your time, but no, don't take it personally. It's just about setting you up for success. Thank you, everyone, for entertaining the side comment.
Okay, so we'll take the main motion now, right?
You've already, the main motion was the,
About
so his, Councilmember Kwan's main motion failed, and then the second main motion was Neguse's.
Okay.
They were 2 separate motions.
Okay,
And
so
you're done with those. Next item.
okay, beautiful. Yeah, I can't live without what I will say.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Okay, so the next agenda bill, which is the main course of tonight, actually, is agenda bill 6450, an ordinance adopting the efficient SeaTac 2024 periodic update of the comprehensive plan and related development regulations as required by the Growth Management Act, RCW 36-70A, and adopting amendment to permit review procedures in response to the Washington State Senate Bill 5290. This will be total 30 minutes presentation and 20 minutes questioning. It will be from Chen Custer and Kate Kenny and Senior Planner Zach Shields. It's all yours. And Chen, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Happy to be here tonight. I think we are the main course, so we might have the meatiest of ordinance titles there that the mayor had to read. So I am Jen Kester. I'm your planning manager. I'm joined on camera with Kate Caney. She'll be leading the presentation. Also here is 2 more of your great long-range planning team, Zach Shields and Laura Stillwell. And so Kate's gonna present. And with that, I will turn it over to her. You will see me back when we get to conversations about rezones.
Thank you very much, Jen. So we are very happy to be here tonight after almost 2 years of work to provide you with an overview of the Envision SeaTac 2044 final draft of proposals. In addition to giving you this high-level overview, we will be here to request that Council acts tonight to ensure the adoption of the city's major periodic update by December 31st, which is in accordance with state law. So why is this an important issue? Well, the Envision final draft of proposals are the outcome, as I said, of almost 2 years of technical analysis and significant community input. The proposals represent the community's vision for how the city should grow and how the city should invest in its neighborhoods over the next 20 years. As I mentioned, the state law, the RCWs on the screen, requires cities in King County to adopt the comprehensive plans through this periodic review process on or before the end of 2024. As you can see from this slide, we just want to reiterate that council action is requested as part of that Growth Management Act, and that we have gone through a very significant set of reviews, 7 reviews of PED, council study session on November 26th, and Planning Commission was briefed and had work sessions 22 times in addition to participation in a variety of community engagement events. As you know, the periodic update of the comprehensive plan and its development regulations is required by the state GMA every 10 years. And the updates are needed to reflect new city priorities and state and regional requirements that have been adopted since previous updates. And in this case, the last major update was in 2015. This update before you, these proposals reset the 20-year growth and development policies for SeaTac from now through 2044. On screen, you see the key themes for updates that were integrated within the policies. The meta theme really was to increase access for opportunity for all of SeaTac's residents. The slide that you have in front of you identifies the 4 proposals that Council established as the final docket in January of this year. The 3rd proposal, the City Center Sub-Area Plan project, was withdrawn from consideration through the Envision process, though it has benefited from this citywide perspective that the project has brought, and that City Center Sub-Area Plan project is anticipated to be restarted in 2025. In this presentation, we will provide highlights of key changes and updates proposed in proposals 1, 2, and 4. This slide presents the overview of the timeline and key project milestones we faced over the last 2 years. The proposals were really developed starting in the spring of 2023, and we started community engagement soon after that, and it continued in an ongoing nature throughout the project. In September, the public review draft, the first draft of complete proposals, was released. And in October, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and also made their recommendation. Those recommendations actually identified changes to the first draft that were integrated into a final review draft that was published in November of this year. That draft was reviewed at the November 26th council study session. In the council packet and the ordinance that is being presented tonight, a final draft of the proposals has been presented. That final draft does include a few changes from the proposal reviewed on the 26th, and most specifically are not only some corrections, but also some policy changes and some new information that was provided based on the comments we received from various state agencies. We've heard comment from the King County Affordable Housing Committee, Puget Sound Regional Council, and 2 state agencies. We have not yet heard from the State Department of Commerce, which is pretty unusual. We think they have a lot of periodic updates that they are reviewing. Because we haven't received comments from Commerce, it may be the case that in 2025, the city will have to respond to any substantive comments they identify. This slide provides an overview of the robust, inclusive, and continuous community engagement undertaken in the project. And I just want to stop to thank the community members who attended public meetings, focus groups, filled out online surveys. It was such a pleasure to be able to go out into community on an ongoing basis to really understand the priorities of people from different age groups, different ethnic backgrounds, different geographies in the city. Staff very carefully considered everything we heard, and much of those comments were incorporated into the proposals that you have before you. So now I want to turn to the overview of the 3 docket proposals, starting with key updates to the comprehensive plan and the codes. So on this slide, you can see that there are 22 chapters in the comprehensive plan, and that 21 of those were updated through this process. On the left-hand side, you see the Volume 1 chapters, the elements that include the city's goals, policies, and at the end of each chapter, the implementation strategies that identify areas where there may be code updates that are needed for council consideration, or maybe programs or additional budget to take care of implementing the policies and goals in Volume 1. Volume 2 includes the background reports that have supportive data that support each of the chapters or elements in Volume 1. Of note is that the Transportation Master Plan serves as a background report for the Chapter 7 transportation element. The TMP is a separate docket item, and we'll highlight the key changes in that document shortly. Also want to mention that the PROS plan serves as a background report for the Chapter 8 Parks, Recreation, and Open Space element. The PROS plan is the only chapter that was not updated. An update is anticipated to begin an update process in 2025 on the PROS plan. So I have a couple of slides that highlight some of the biggest changes in the policies in the comprehensive plan. The first is that the city vision statement was updated, as well as the citywide growth strategy. And those 2 things are illustrated in the map you see to the right of the screen. So what the map shows is really this idea, this first pillar of the growth strategy, that future growth will be concentrated in centers. You can see in the dark black line here, the urban center boundary, that's our designated regional growth center from Puget Sound. That is where most of the growth will come. And we will continue to work on the policies to focus that growth into the Lavender sub areas, the urban villages, the South 154 Station Village, the City Center Urban Village, and the Angle Lake Urban Village. Those urban villages have sub area plans now. The comprehensive plan policies really add to those goals and policies that will help shape the highest density living and working opportunities, where when we grow, we bring in great infrastructure, services to create walkable, vibrant, live, work, play communities. An addition and a new part of the citywide growth strategy is to really look at adding neighborhood villages, focusing new growth to serve that pink area to the right. Those are our primarily residential communities. Currently, these 4 areas have zoning and that would allow for different housing types, different types of services, but most of them don't really serve the adjacent neighborhoods. Some of them really have kind of regional audiences. So the citywide growth strategy update is to really create villages that support new housing and service opportunities within the villages, but also serve the adjacent neighbors. Another new part of the growth strategies is to allow corner store development in areas that are out of walking distance of these new neighborhood villages or the urban villages, and that's something we'll start working on in the next year. Lastly, the last type of center is the flex warehouse industrial area. You see these hatched areas. There are 3 that are around the airport, and these are locations that promote light industrial jobs and business opportunities. So along with that new growth, the second pillar of the growth strategy update is really to ensure that there is complete neighborhood infrastructure and services to support all the growth that comes in. And that is a citywide commitment so that equitable infrastructure and services are provided to all our communities as they grow. The second set of really significant policy changes really are part of the housing and human services chapter focused on housing. And the policy updates that we talked about over the last several months had mostly to do with promoting diverse, affordable housing for all income levels. One major change is to provide middle housing opportunities in areas that have traditionally been single family neighborhoods. So that is, in relation to that statewide law in HB 1110, also the increase in the number of accessory dwelling units, also basically considered a middle housing opportunity. This is a big change not only for SeaTac, but also for the state, and this comprehensive plan opens up that opportunity. Other key housing changes include policies to preserve existing housing, create new housing, support emergency and supportive housing, and also to recognize the local history of racially exclusive and discriminatory land practices. This is part of a regional effort to understand these things, and also to really focus on trying to prevent the displacement of our current residents. So it's a big task list, and there are a lot of great implementation strategies that we will be bringing forward to Council over the next months and years. Now I want to turn to the code amendments that are part of this package. There are code amendments related to implementing that new city vision and growth strategies, new zone names for things like the urban villages and the neighborhood villages. There's also changes that support compliance with the Growth Management Act and those recent middle housing and accessory dwelling unit laws, as well as others. Updates to the city supportive housing, supportive transitional emergency housing. It's called STEP housing now. It's an acronym that I'm trying to learn that you'll hear a lot about in the next several years. Additionally, there is the update to SeaTac's multifamily tax exemption program, the MFTE. And there are two major types of changes: updates to project eligibility standards, including lowering the minimum unit amount of projects that are eligible for MFTE from 20 units to 4 units. And another category of changes dealing with a new allowance for extensions for projects receiving an initial 12-year exemption. We have the 8 and 12-year exemptions. So those are the MFTE project update highlights. Also, not part of the Envision project necessarily, but a state requirement is to update the permit processing codes that we have in SeaTac based on Senate Bill 5290, and those proposals are part of this package. So now I'm going to hand off to Planning Manager Jen Kester.
Thank you, Kate. So more key changes as part of the Envision project relate to actually zoning on the land. So Kate described zoning might be called zoning code or regulation amendment. So this is actually zoning of the land. And so there's two major things that occurred is in some cases we had parcels that didn't match existing land use designations. A case in point is down south where we have the RBX land use designation, which is a regional business mix, but the zoning was still urban low, so single family zoning. State requires us to be internally consistent. That means our zoning district map and our land use designation map needs to be consistent with each other. And so this is something that has been on the work program for many, many years and is being resolved through this project. The other set of amendments changes to the zoning map relate to rezones to support our villages strategy. So both in the urban villages around, particularly in the city center area, but also in our neighborhood villages around McMicken Heights and around currently City Hall. So the map that you see there, and we'll be providing an updated to this handout, is shows all the parcels in green in which the current zoning has changed. And then one topic that was discussed quite a bit at the study session on the 26th was related to the Bow Lake Manufactured Home Park. And so the proposal by the Planning Commission and supported by the city staff is to rezone the Bow Lake Manufactured Home Park to Manufactured Home Park Zone, a zone that has existed in our code for quite a bit of time. And it supports Housing Goal 5.6, which is to support the continued maintenance of our existing manufactured home parks. That has been in place for a while, since the last update to our comprehensive plan in 2015. 2 of our manufactured home parks have closed. And so with work with the Planning Commission, it was recommended to utilize our existing manufactured zoning and zone our last remaining manufactured home park. Next slide, Kate. So this slide shows on the left what the current zoning and land use designation is for the Bow Lake Estates Manufactured Home Park. It is currently urban high zoning, either 900 or 1800. That relates, the 900 and 1800 relates to the amount of square feet needed for one unit if you were to do a gross density calculation. The current land use designation is, there's 3 different ones. So this is one of the sites where the land use designation, the zoning are not internally consistent with each other. Moving forward, the proposal from the city, your city planning commission and supported by staff is to change the zoning to manufactured home park, so all the parcels related, as well as change the underlying land use designation to urban residential medium. That is the land use designation that's implemented either by urban residential medium zoning or the manufactured home park zone. And this change is consistent with that policy that was shown on the other slide. The representatives of the property owner have been providing public comment, both to the Planning Commission and the City Council, including tonight. I do want to acknowledge that they oppose this change. I would like to note that due to the breadth of the proposed changes in the ordinance, both to meet our growth strategies and a middle housing law, the current zoning you see on the left and the designations will no longer exist if this is adopted, meaning those terms no longer exist. There's a new nomenclature for our land use designations and our zoning. And therefore, the City Council must make a change to the zoning and designation for this site via the ordinance, regardless of the outcome. And also you should know that next year, as we will restart and we will complete, or at least your staff will work to complete, the city center sub-area plan, which this site's located within. So through that process, staff will engage the community, property owner, the residents, regardless of tonight's outcome as well. So next slide. So after the November 26th meeting, where we presented 3 different options to you, we met with the representatives of the property owner. And the purpose of that meeting, it was December 5th, was to discuss those 3 rezone options. We wanted to understand as your staff what the representatives thought of those 3 options so we could come back to you and provide you some input, or at least provide you maybe a more refined option. So I feel like the meeting went well, and we agreed on the 2 options shown. And these are consistent as far as I can tell from the property owner representative comments tonight. So option 1 is to retain the Planning Commission's recommendation. So what is shown in the ordinance before you. This would maintain the zoning of manufactured home park. This is staff's preferred option. This is what we feel is most consistent with the policies in the comprehensive plan. This is the option that the Bow Lake community owner is opposed to. Option 2 would change the land use and the zoning to be equivalent to the current zoning. So the current zoning is the urban high 800 or 900 or 1800. So it would move to an urban residential high land use designation and zoning. This is what the Bow Lake community owners preferred option. We, both the city and the community and the representatives of the owner, agree that with either option, we'll continue to engage in conversation next year. There'll be further study and analysis regarding the sub-area plan and considering its impacts to the community, both the residents and the owner. I do want to note that we received 2 separate requests from 2 council members for staff to draft a motion to amend the ordinance before you tonight to implement option 2. Those council members were separately provided those drafts prior to the meeting, and I'm prepared to walk through the motion to amend later if the council wants to direct. So next slide, Kate. So still on the topic of rezones, there are proposed rezones for 30 parcels owned by the port. Through our interlocal agreement with the port would normally, if they bought property, go through on their own accord our process to amend the comprehensive plan and do a rezone. However, when we identified this in 2021, the 30 parcels that the port had now owned, we knew we were going to start this Envision SeaTac 2044 project. And so we jointly agreed that we would include those 30 parcels into this process so that there would not be a separate process. Staff reviewed these 30 port-owned parcels where they were at and had no concerns. So with that, I will turn it back over to Kate to walk through the other docket proposals.
Thank you. So the second proposal I wanted to talk about is the Transportation Master Plan update. So the TMP, as it's called, is, as I mentioned, a functional plan, or it serves as the background report to the transportation element, but it's also what we call a functional plan. It is more detailed than the transportation element and identifies some key project and financial information. The TMP is being fully replaced. The last time the TMP was updated was in 2015 with the last major comp plan update, and that is the same process that is being undertaken as part of the Envision process. There are a lot of great things that happened as part of the TMP in and of itself. Some key things are re-baselining existing conditions, updating all the data we have on our existing transportation system and adjacent projects coming from other locations, cities, agencies, new forecasting systems, and a significant update to the city's travel demand model. This was updated in a joint process with the Port of Seattle and for the airport's uses as well. Some other key things that were part of this whole process were updates that support the new growth strategy, new connectivity policies, updates to pedestrian facilities system plans and maps, and also identification of projects that will implement city transportation policies as well as the growth strategies that I reviewed. The financial plan also is provided that provides background information about the projects, as well as a new set of criteria for how those projects might be selected in terms of their placement on the Transportation Improvement Program, the TIP, that Council adopts yearly to identify new projects. So a really thorough replacement of the city's older Transportation Master Plan. So the last proposal I wanted to talk about was the amendment proposed by the public. The Jordan family submitted a proposal. To the right of the screen, you can see 4 parcels along Military Road South in the McMicken Heights neighborhood, just to the north of Scott Plaza and Safeway. The proposal the Jordan family had was to create a new zone, an urban high 450 zone that could be applied and rezone those 4 parcels to this higher intensity zone to allow more units than the urban high 900 zone that currently is a potential zone for these parcels would allow. The city met multiple times with the Jordan family and their consultants. It was a really great set of meetings that we had over the last year. They were really helpful in providing information from a project level of what pencils and what doesn't for the type of product that they were looking to create in those areas in terms of multifamily development. But as we moved through the Envision process, the staff came up with a recommended change to what the Jordan family originally proposed. The change was to not create a new urban high 450 zone, but instead change the land use designation and zoning of those 4 parcels to the neighborhood village high zone in order to support the creation of the new McMicken Heights neighborhood village that's been identified in the citywide growth strategy. This is something we shared with the Jordan family, and that zone would allow multifamily projects of around 6 stories and also require a component of mixed use ground floor activity to activate the street. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand over the presentation to Jen.
Thank you, Kate. So that ends the meat of the presentation. Our request tonight is that to ensure compliance with the Growth Management Act, that the city adopt the Envision SeaTac 2044 ordinance. You can either adopt it as is, or you can amend the ordinance prior to adoption. I've listed the meetings that we've done already. And Kate, can you move to the next slide? Because we know it is a mouthful. This is what the main motion would be for adopting this based on the agenda bill. And we thought it would be better to just show that to you. So with that, thank you for having us here. We're hopeful we can answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Jen, Kate, and Mr. Shield. Okay, Council Member Lavelle, do I have motion to accept it? Agenda Bill 6450, or do you have motion to amend it, actually?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I have a motion to amend.
Yeah, can we actually get the original motion first, please?
What's that?
We need the original motion made and seconded before an amendment.
So I move that we adopt AB 6544, an ordinance adopting the Envision SeaTac 2044 periodic update of the comprehensive plan and related development regulations as required by the Growth Management at RCW 36.70A, and adopting amendments to permit review procedures in response to Washington Senate Bill 5290.
Okay, let's make life a little easier.
Yes, yeah, we are not in.
Oh, first off, the agenda bill number on the slide is actually incorrect. It is
I retract my motion to adopt AB
6450. And if you just a motion to pass Agenda Bill 6450, we'd be great.
I move to pass Agenda Bill 6450.
Second.
Okay, we have second. All right. So let's discuss. Okay, Council Member Lavelle.
Thank you. Well, first, overall, just an overwhelming appreciation, Jen, Kate, the Planning Commission, the hundreds of people who have contributed to this plan. There's, I have, as the chair of the Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting, I've gotten to chair the process that looks at this over the last year, and it's been, I thought I knew a little bit about housing and zoning and transportation, but I know much more now, and I think more than that, I know how much I don't yet know. I think there's a reason why it takes a team to put together something like this, and why it takes so many dedicated hours of our community on the Planning Commission, our community volunteers. Ultimately, there are some questions that remain for me, really just around one part of it, which is around the Bow Lake manufactured homes. And for me, it comes down to a philosophical approach and inconsistency, and just I don't believe in downzoning. I think whenever possible, we need to maintain higher density zoning. And I think it would be something that we could have chased down a little more, I might have pursued a little more chasing down on this if I didn't know that we have a good mechanism in place for addressing this exact topic next year. So with that, I think I'd like to make propose an amendment to, is that allowable here? Nice. I was offered language by our Director Maximum. Do you want me to read all of that?
Jen, do you actually have a slide with the, yes.
We actually have a slide with that. Kate, can you move? And maybe I didn't mess up the.
Well, what do you know?
And this is a very lengthy motion. We did, I know they reviewed it first, and I even asked, and I know legal asked about doing it in 3 separate motions, but the need for one was so all of this needs to be done together. So it is very lengthy. I'm okay with you not reading it in detail if it's there for everybody to see. And the mayor, you don't need to read it again. We've got it up here.
Well, and so I think what this shares consistencies with option 2, if not in substance, all the consistencies with option 2 that were presented by staff are here. And so I move to amend the motion to adopt the Envision SeaTac 2044 ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan levy land use map and amend the zoning map and amend the comprehensive plan as presented on the slide.
Second.
And these will be available to the public, I think, right? We got a second. I'll be quiet.
Council members and Nguzi.
Oh, okay, I could go first. I too had questions around this, and I do support this amendment. I think that it makes a lot of sense to wait until next year to have this discussion. I don't think we've had enough engagement around this item. I think that if we're going to review the city sub-area plan, which includes Bow Lake area, we will have an opportunity to discuss this anyway. Additionally, as part of the comprehensive plan, there was a reference to a 2000 Bow Lake joint use facility study. It was on page like 543 of one segment of the 3-packet, 2,000-page packet, whatever. And I haven't had a chance to review that. I don't know that anyone has access to that document. And so I would like to review that alongside the other documents, alongside the conversations around the city sub-area plan next year. I don't think there's any harm in waiting. I think that Bow Lake folks, you all have communicated a number of times that they will not be, they have no plans to develop or sell at this time. Of course, they're not tied to that, but I think that there is no risk in waiting until 2025. And at that point, I believe it's a great opportunity as we're looking at all the documents comprehensively to see and identify the appropriate policies, land use designations, zoning, development standards around that property. So I'm good to support this motion and wait until 2025 to engage in further discussion around this topic.
Thank you, Councilmember Nguzi. Councilmember Kwan.
Thank you. So yeah, I agree. I think this is a good compromise, and we can always review this next year, which I'm sure we are going to do. I also want to point out that, Bow Lake Mobile Home Park, Bow Lake Estates has been there for a long, long time, and they're not going anywhere. And it's mobile home parks in Washington State are already regulated by the state. So if they wanted to do something, they already have regulations that they have to follow. And so, which gives, plenty of notice and all of that stuff. That hasn't happened. And every year I hear the concerns that, this is going to happen. Never happened. And I don't know how these rumors get started, but they seem to follow campaign years for some reason. And so I know that the current owners have spent a considerable amount of funds and effort to improve it. So it's actually better when I went back to visit than it was, just even like 2 or 3 years ago. So they're continuing improvements to this property. So I think this is a pretty good compromise, and I'm happy to support the amendment.
Councilmember Filson.
Thank you, Mary Gall. As the previous speakers have mentioned, we've heard very important feedback from the property owners regarding the proposed zoning amendments. I do believe it's critical to take, their concerns into account before moving forward. So I will be in support of Councilmember Lovell's motion here.
All right, Deputy Mayor and Guzman.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a situation where the community has come out who is directly impacted by this and has spoken. And I think it behooves us to definitely take that into consideration moving forward. And so I also support Councilmember Lovell's proposal or amendment.
Okay, it seems to me that you have universal support, Councilmember Lavelle, right? So I will support this actually. Yeah. So next will be that we will go voting, right?
We need to vote on this amendment.
Okay. So let's vote amendment amended by Councilmember Lavelle, which says, do you want me to read all of them? Which I can, Yeah, okay. Okay, so for those who are in favor of this amendment, say aye.
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 Vincent? Aye?
Aye.
Beautiful. That will be 6-0. Okay? So the main motion.
I believe there might be a second amendment.
Okay. Is there a second amendment? Okay.
I have an amendment I would like to propose.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, so I would like to motion for the Envision Sea-Tac 2044 ordinance to change the 8-year exemption program in Sea-Tac Municipal Code 3.85060, A Part 2, to require at least 20 dwelling units of multifamily housing to be eligible for the 8-year exemption, but retain the allowance for a minimum 4 dwelling units of multifamily housing for the 12-year exemption program in SeaTac Municipal Code 3.85060B.
Which is now shown on the screen.
Okay, now thank you very much, and Chen. So, okay, so we have motion. Do I have second?
I'll second.
Peter Kwan seconded. Okay, so let's start to discuss it. I will start the council member Vincent. Well, actually, the one who make the council, council member Nguzi, sorry.
Yeah, so so I did a lot of thinking around this. We also received public comment around this. And the reason for my proposal is that the primary goal of the multifamily tax exemption program is to, one, increase housing supply, but also to incentivize developers to build income-restricted housing, correct? And in turn, we offer tax exemption for the housing piece of the development. At present, I have concerns around the effectiveness overall around the 8-year exemption. My concern around the 8-year MFTE is that it does not impose any requirements on developers. So the projects can be entirely market rate. So there's, and I don't think at this point, I would like to evaluate its continued relevance and impact for our city. Do we need to incentivize developers to come and offer that tax exemption? So I think we need to have that discussion at a later time, so I'm asking that of staff. I think it is a desirable location to build, so I don't think, honestly, it's necessary. But at this point, we're only talking about the 4 and the 20, and so I would like to retain the 20 for that reason, because I don't think we need to further incentivize or decrease that unit requirement to incentivize folks to build here. I'm not, just to add to my comment, this is not part of the motion that I'm making, but I also want to request that we continue to bring applications before the council in the format of a study session prior to staff approval of all MFTE applications. This will allow for updates and discussions amongst the council members, ensuring transparency in the decision-making process. And once it is approved by staff, the details of the application could be shared at a regular council meeting as part of the city manager update. So rather than removing council from the process, I think it's important for staff to continue to move forward in an efficient manner, but I think it's also very important that we have awareness as to what's going on in our city. And so if it's brought forward before being approved as a project, as an MFTE exemption project, to be brought forward before the council would be great. So yeah, so I'm asking that we reconsider and retain the 20 minimum requirement for the 8-year exemption, and at a later time, reevaluating that entire exemption program as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kwan.
I agree with this. I do, however, I would like to comment that I do know I go to developer conferences as well on my own time, just because I want to understand what some of these challenges are. And I can tell you from my firsthand experience that there are several projects that are occurring in the city of SeaTac that would not have occurred without the availability of MFTE. So I can say that from what I understand, it is an incentive, and it does help developers bring in projects into our city that normally otherwise would not pencil out. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't pencil out, they won't do it. So I do support this. I think it is a pretty good compromise. I would like to see if, you know, because of the 4 dwelling unit is relatively small, and from what I have observed in SeaTac, the smaller development, especially single-family homes, but you know, like maybe duplexes or fourplexes, I believe that they'll build them anyway because the demand is there. That's what I think. I don't know if this is going to, you know, bring them on any quicker or faster than if it wasn't available. But I am willing to put this in there and see if that will promote more development and redevelopment in our city. Thanks.
Councilman Lopez.
Yeah, this one. I thought about this quite a bit as well because, you know, as a someone who attends housing conference or developers conferences as a housing developer through my day job, I'm generally a fan of anything that incentivizes housing development. Then on the other hand, as a progressive, I'm generally against tax breaks, and that's a little bit of what this is. This does distribute the burden to residents. I think it's kind of there's other things I have even bigger issues with as far as tax cuts that we give to corporations as a city, county, state, and nation. So MFTE, I think, requires more nuance than just saying I'm for or against, because as you can see, it's a pretty complex thing to look at when you're talking about affordable housing, market rate housing, incentivizing through land acquisition support, or incentivizing through MFTEs, things that distribute the burden onto other residents, right? So as I look at the amendment that Councilmember Neguse is proposing, I don't see an issue with this, because I think the development for the 4 dwelling units is really sparked by 1110, and I think the development of those units is going to occur without the MFTE. At least it'll start without the MFTE approval here. So I think I can support this.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Lavelle. I see that our director raised his hand, and Ivan.
Thank you, Mayor Gall, and I apologize if I'm speaking before any other council member here. I just want to note, I have heard concerns from the City Council, and so as far as the CED's work plan, Community and Economic Development Department's work plan, moving forward, we will bring the item back for further discussion, just in light of the comments. I think our thinking around the 4 units was really something that Councilmember Lovell just touched on, related to the new middle housing statute from Washington State, and just looking at how this could pair up. Certainly your staff supports the amendment. We did work with Councilmember Neguse in drafting this for your consideration, and I just wanted to share that we are hearing council, and we will follow up with further conversation if that's the will of the body.
Beautiful, thank you very much. I can see that Kate have raised her hand. Kate.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I accidentally hit that button. My apologies.
We always like to hear from you. Thank you. Okay, Councilman Vincent.
Hey, no comments here from me, Mayor Gall. I support this. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Guzman.
I appreciate the thought that Councilmember Lovell put into this, because when I first started and I saw these exemptions, if you remember Director Maxim, I had some issues and concerns with this. So to see this come up again, I was like, oh, thank God, because it was something that I was happy about before. So this is great. So thank you.
Anytime. I think it was Councilmember Neguse, actually.
Which you can take anytime you get. So I always, when I become city, when I was elected, the MFT was one of the actually area that I was paid close attention, because I know this city. This is, lower working class city. The question is that the housing is very expensive. The rent is crazy. So people who work the airport, who work in warehouses, who live in this area, have to have place to live, or we are pushing them to the end of the wall. Actually, beyond in other counties, but their job has to be in this area, and mostly the airport or airport related. So I was always thinking about how to leverage our location, where we are. And the best leverage that we had was actually the MFT. I was told that, if we change the MFT, if you touch that, developers are not coming, all of those things. Developers are going to come, because we located the best place in the face of Arad. Every person, every developer, they want to build apartments, other form of housing in SeaTac, because we are next to the light rail, we are next to I-5, we are close to the airport. We can get 10 minutes in Tacoma, we can get 15 minutes in Bellevue. So that's asset that we have. So this amendment will give opportunity those who work in the airport or airport related jobs, low wage earners that we need and rely on to run in this civilization, in this nation, in this region, all of those things to have place. So I appreciate it. For Council Member Ngusi bringing this, and I will support that. Saying that and seeing none of council members raising their hand, I want to move to vote, right? Yes.
Vote on the amendment, yes.
Yes. So for those who are in favor, say aye.
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 6-0. Beautiful. Okay. So we will go back to the original motion
As amended.
as amended. Okay. So I will be reading this Agenda Bill 645 as amended, an ordinance adopting the efficient SeaTac 2044 periodic public update of the comprehensive plan and related development regulation as required by the Growth Management Act RCW 36-70A and adopting amendment to permit review procedures in response to the Washington Senate Bill and 5290. For those who are in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. And those who are against, say nay. So it's again 6-0. Someone told me a long time about that. Mostly 99% we fought together. Okay. All right. So that's wisdom. I will rely on it. So the next item in the agenda is Agenda Bill 655, a motion authorizing the city manager to enter an interlocal agreement with the cities of Pirian, Des Moines, Normandy Park to jointly fund a contract for consultant who will work with the cities on the Port of Seattle Sustainable Airport Master Plan and related environmental review. This is 20 minutes. It will from Director Maxim. I think we will talk about this one before. So, Director, it's all yours for the next 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor Gall. Council, I don't, in hindsight, I would probably gave too much time to this agenda item. I provided a briefing earlier to the City Council related to our comments on the NEPA review process. And I mentioned that as part of that process, we were joining the cities of Burien, Des Moines, Normandy Park in retaining a consultant to provide technical comments. That's in addition to the staff technical comments. That approach was actually developed back in 2018 when the 4 cities were commenting on the scope of the environmental assessment. The 4 cities have continued to hold the consultant contract throughout that period of time. Unfortunately, what we, as your staff missed, is that the interlocal agreement that authorized us to jointly fund and retain this consultant actually expired in December 31st of 2020. So we've continued to hold the contract. There was no action on the SAMP review in those intervening years. You probably recall there was a COVID-19 crisis, which probably distracted many of the staff here at the time of the expiration. That has since passed. And really the need to update the interlocal agreement to authorize this jointly held contract only came up when we contacted our consultant and started working with the cities of Burien and Des Moines to reimburse the consultant for their technical review work. So the interlocal agreement, which is included in your packet tonight, is the same interlocal agreement that the 4 cities entered into back in 2018. It is only been updated to include a new expiration date, and that expiration date would be December 31st of 2027. Because the original interlocal agreement has expired, we do need council authorization to enter into a new interlocal agreement. However, the terms are unchanged. I'm happy to answer any questions that the council may have regarding the interlocal agreement and request the motion from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Maxim. Council Member Lovell, do you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the interlocal agreement.
Do I have second?
Second.
A motion has been seconded. Okay, discussion, Mr. Lovell.
Yeah, it's a bit of an oversight there, but I think we've mitigated the impacts. I don't expect us to make the same mistake again. I don't have any questions or comments or issues with this. I'll be supporting the motion.
Councilmember Noguchi.
Yeah, I think this is good. I'm supporting it. My only thing is that in the future, I hope we would bring this earlier before our December 13th or whatever the future SEPA deadline will be. And so, yeah, I absolutely support this. Thank you so much, Director Maxim.
Councilmember Kwan.
I see this is necessary, and I fully support this. Thanks.
Beautiful. Councilmember Vincent.
I will echo just about everything my colleagues have stated. A question for you, Director Maxim, and for the city staff here. Are there any other agreements that need to be updated, or should we take a look at? I want this to be the last expired contract that we have to sign. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vinson. So I'm embarrassed to have to bring this to the city council. It's not the approach I would like to take. I do have to say all of the staff that were involved at the time the original interlocal agreement was put together have since changed in all 4 of the cities. So this was something that truly just was not on the radar. We pride ourselves in being careful around all of our contracting, all of our interlocal agreements. This is one that it really caught all 4 cities by surprise. And to some extent that was related to the timing of the release of the environmental assessment, which coincided with our budget discussions, our comprehensive plan work, a number of other projects, council member. So not trying to really provide an excuse. This is not the standard you should expect from your staff. It's just an explanation. I am not aware, to answer your question directly, of any other expired contract or interlocal agreement. If I was, you would hear me as soon as possible bring this to your attention and try and resolve.
Thank you, Director Maxim. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Vincent. Deputy Mayor.
Right now, Councilmember Vincent, when you said back to you, Mayor, you sounded like a news broadcaster, like on the street. No, I don't have any questions either. I mean, we could, sit here and beat you up all day, but we won't because I know your standards are usually really high, and if this is the one, then you should have it. You're human, and it happens. So thank you.
Well, I don't have any questions. I can see this was long meeting, so no questions, right? All right, so let's proceed to vote. Council members, will you unmute while I'm reading the motion, agenda bill number 655, a motion authorizing city manager to enter an interlocal agreement with the cities of Berrien, Des Moines, and Normandy Park to jointly fund a contract for a consultant who will work with the cities on the board of Seattle Sustainable Airport Master Plan and related environmental review. For those who are in favor, say aye.
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 For those aye. Those who are against, say nay. Okay, it's 6-0 again. All right, there's no unfinished business. Council comments. I want to start someone I never start. Deputy Mayor Guzman.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say that I was making a face earlier when we were talking about Pam Fernald joining and whatnot, and I'm going to not apologize for it because this person, when they were on council, caused harm. And I don't care if I'm breaking protocol or if it's unprofessional, but I just want to be clear on that I'm going to stick to my values and I'm not going to be fake or pretend that things are okay when they're really not. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I do not apologize. You all can come for me. I don't care. I care about the community that has been harmed, and I have been working these last 3 years to try to repair some of that harm and move forward for the larger part of our community. So I'm just going to stick to that and come for me. I do not care.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Guzman and Mr. Vincent.
Thank you, Mayor Gall. It's a tough one to follow there. I guess as we approach the holiday season, I just want to take a moment to reflect on the incredible work that we've done together this year. This being our last council meeting of the year, I want to express my gratitude to my colleagues here, city staff, and to our community for their dedication, hard work, and collaboration. The holidays are a time to celebrate achievements, appreciate our shared commitment to SeaTac, and I look forward to the opportunities the new year will bring. So thank you all. Have a great night.
Thank you, Councilman Vincent. Councilman Orvan.
Yeah, thank you. Again, thank you to everyone who came and toughed it out for the long evening. Big thank you to staff for all the work on the comprehensive plan for a couple of years, the work on the budget for a year, the tough conversations we've had about how to support our incoming leader. I know we'll get a chance to, hopefully a chance to really properly thank our interim city manager, Mr. Moore, for guiding us through the last, what has it been, 9 months, 10 months, something, 6 months? 5 years. It's hard to keep track sometimes. I also want to take a moment and recognize someone who's not in the audience, but who is a resident of SeaTac. Earlier today, I think shortly before our we took recess from the special study session, one of our residents, Mr. Edwin Obras, was selected by King County Council to fill the vacant seat of state representative in the 33rd Legislative District. His name was put forward by the PCOs. There were 3 names presented, and King County Council selected our very own SeaTac resident, Mr. Obras. So congratulations, Representative Obras. Similarly, we should be acknowledging that former Representative Tina Orwell, who is a longtime supporter of the city, is now State Senator Tina Orwell. So congratulations to both of them on your appointments. And thank you to King County Council for listening to community and listening to the 33rd District Precinct Committee officers who were duly elected in a fair process. Looking forward to working with our incoming new representative and new state senator. And of course, thank you to Representative Mia Gregerson for continuing her service. That's all for me. Thank you.
Councilman Juan.
Thank you. So want to make a quick announcement for an event this coming Saturday at 5:30 p.m. at Renton Vocational College is an event called the Battle of the Badges. This is a free event where our public safety vehicles decorate with their vehicles with holiday lights and stuff like that. And you can walk through there, check out all the cool vehicles, and the public can vote on their favorites. And there will be food trucks as well. So why am I mentioning this when it's in Renton? Well, because I learned that the SeaTac police and fire folks will be participating. So let's show up and support our frontline public safety workers. Once again, at 5:30 p.m. this Saturday at the Renton Vocational College. That's 3000 Northeast 4th Street in Renton. In addition to this, I know this is our last council meeting of the year, but in addition to this, there are still lots of community events happening. Some smaller events, some non-city events and whatnot, neighboring city events. I also see the Christmas lights have gone up on some of the houses, and so for those who put in the effort to decorate their homes, I wanted to thank you for that. It does help to beautify our city. Other than that, have a happy holidays and a safe new year, and I'll see you around town.
Councilmember Neguzia.
Sure. Just to echo a lot of what's been said already, I do want to thank our staff, our community for all the work this last year. Thank my colleagues, as Councilmember Vincent said. I just want to add that I know it's been a tough year, lots of growing pains and transitions, I think for all of us, but I want to acknowledge that change is inevitable, it's constant, and while it's not easy, I do believe that it signals growth and optimism for me, at least. I think it means it's an opportunity for us to create a better, stronger future for our residents, for our city. And so I do wish us all the best in the new year. So that's all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilman Neguzia. My colleagues and city staff and our amazing residents. I know it was very long night tonight, but else it marks my first year as a mayor and my third year in the council. Tonight, I now I want to mention, I mentioned that there was a lot of people who have question about me when I became the mayor, especially. I have accent, heavy accent is the African accent. I walk different ways than normally American mayor walk. My name is funny, you know. There is no other Muhammad mayor in United States. So naturally, you know, people were not warm. They were suspicious. They don't know what to make about me. But I wanted to give you reports tonight. And I want to start thanking for the staff of our city and the council members, because everything we have achieved, I will not be able to achieve it, or we will not be able to achieve it. So tonight, we have adopted 2025, 2026 biannual budget. And we have reserved, while the other cities are increasing their property tax, we have not increased it one dime. That is amazing, because most people expect people who look like me to waste public money, you know, to social programs or other things. That's something out there that I cannot. We also approved the SeaTac 2044 efficient comprehensive plan, which is fair and very comprehensive, as we have done here a few minutes ago. We also had a asylee crisis, actually. One day we wake up, and there was 700 asylee in our hotel. We don't have money, we don't have budget, we don't have homes, we don't have plan, actually. And we come together, this council, the city staff. It was sometimes difficult conversation, but thank you, interim city manager. We brought together the service providers who don't talk to each other, actually. And we said, we have this problem here. We want to treat these people with dignity. They are human beings. They are in our communities. We didn't brought them here. We are not taking out them here. But we want you to take care and serve them. So we reach out the social service providers. We reach out to the cities around us. And we went all the way down to the governor's office, and we get money. That money, we place these people to permanent housing. They have opportunity to have immigration lawyers and social workers to help them to go through the immigration process without one single dime from city of SeaTac. From city of SeaTac, one dime. So we also hire an amazing city manager who will start on January 16. It was tough, it was long to find that person with that skills and willingness to come to our community to serve it. So that is what we have achieved under my first year as a mayor. And I'm looking forward to 2025 and 2026 and what it will bring us. I know this city is a special place, a very good city, good people here, and just want to wish you happy holidays and good night. And I'm very glad that I work with you, each one of them, and the staff. For saying that, I would like to adjourn this meeting at 9:27 p.m.
Thank you. God bless.